show up in my hotel, giving yourself a chance to brag like this. I will not allow it.
What do you plan to do to stop it?
You know quite well that marriage isn't really my thing. Do you understand? We're all unsuited for marriage.
Where did you leave my baby? What orphanage did you put him in?
I want you to speak to him and tell him that his dad is here and he wants to meet him as soon as possible.
There's one thing I know.
What is it? Tell me.
I don't want to stop seeing you.
But if you keep being rude and arrogant to everyone, you won't make anything of yourself.
Top of the morning to you all and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Jane Kubera. We are glad you have chosen to start your morning with us right here on KBC, this being the 30th day of August 2022, a day where, the Supreme Court will become a legal battle following the just concluded general elections. Considering IEBC was tasked with the mandate to deliver a free and fair general election, the question remains, did they deliver? Well, we will be finding out by next week, Monday, once the Supreme Court does decide about the way forward in regards to the presidential election. But as always, the crew is ready. Kama kawaida, kama kawa, kama dawa, tuko sawa. Starting with the only gent with us on the set, Victor.
Right, so it was actually the battle of the big boys across the country yesterday, and we're yet to get the official results as they come from the official tallying centers, that is from Mombasa, Kakamega, in West Pokot, as well as here in Nairobi, and even in Meru, where elections were held, 8 of them to be precise. We'll be in touch with our reporters from those regions to give us a feel and the expectation and of course the verified results from those particular regions. Not forgetting that the Supreme Court is sitting today. We'll be talking about that later on with our guest in studio, but before then, Miss D is here. D.
Beautiful morning to you as well as our viewers from whichever place you're watching this show from. We always appreciate you just making time to join us every Monday through Thursday, 6:30 all the way till 10 a.m. And as Jane and Victor have rightly put it, really a lot is happening. Yesterday was indeed battle of matters to do with numbers, battle of parties, battle of coalitions. So we really are waiting to see how the final results will actually be looking like, particularly in those 2 counties and also the 4 constituencies, because then it will really, show how the numbers will look like in the National Assembly, knowing very well that so far we currently stood at 159 against 162. So which way will it go, particularly in these 2 factions? Nonetheless, even as that is happening, today at 11 a.m., the pre-trial commences. That is at the Supreme Court, where basically the basic ground rules will be set, even as the hearing commences officially tomorrow. But also, we shall be looking at those, terms that you're likely to encounter and interact with throughout this entire time. The various terms that are really coming out strongly: amicus curiae, affidavit, respondents, petition, petitioners, consolidated petitions, amongst a host of various other terms. That is equally what we shall be looking at this morning. And not forgetting, in our interactive segment, we look at matters entrepreneurship. How do we just bridge and come up with solutions, particularly for small, medium enterprises? Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arangi Okelo. Regina.
Indeed, good morning. So yesterday we saw 7 areas participate in the elections. These elections have been postponed twice over emergencies that have been termed by IEBC as mix-up in ballot material, as well as matters of security. We'll be keeping tabs on what happens in Kakamega and Mombasa, given where it's importance when it comes to, you know, the representation as far as governors. Remember, who is going to be having the majority has more sway, especially when it comes to the picking of the Council of Governors chair. So as it stands, before we even saw some of the independent governors join various camps there, we had a number of 22 governors under Kenya Kwanza's coalition and Azimio la Umoja having 21. Now Kakamega and Mombasa might just be the deciding factor if you look at it that way, without looking at those who may be defecting from one camp to the other, though it was termed as illegal because of the pre-poll agreements that various leaders had with their various parties then. But that is just the nitty-gritty details. Mombasa and Kakamega are indeed deciding factors. There are 22-21 there. And also for the parliamentary seats that were up for grabs yesterday, we had 4. In Kitui Rural, Pokot West County had Kachiliba and Pokot South, as well as Nakuru County, where we had Rongai constituency. And Nyaki West, which happens Nyaki West Ward in North Imenti, Meru County, and Kwanjenga, Embakasi, Nairobi. That's where we had our elections taking place yesterday. And our reporters have been on ground, and we will be linking up with them to just bring us up to speed. Remember, the exercise was closed yesterday, and tallying and as well tallying took place over the night. We kept camp and vigil, and this morning we're going to be receiving updates in regard to that update. Now we take a quick breather. We'll be right back with stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Now, I'm Regina Manyara, and you're watching In the Headlines on KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya, and thank you for making time to be with us on this last day of August 2022. Now, tallying of votes for member of National Assembly there took place amid a low voter turnout that was witnessed earlier in the day in Rongai constituency, Nakuru County, where incumbent Raymond Moi cast his vote at Messengery Primary School, and he accused his main competitor, Paul Chebor, of conspiring with IBC and UDA leaders to intimidate and coerce voters. Here are the scenes and pictures from yesterday's voting exercise.
By 6 a.m. in the morning, all 197 polling stations in Rongai constituency were open, and IBC officials set to conduct the parliamentary election that was postponed twice, the turnout remaining low in most polling stations, which ironically was an advantage to voters who spent less time compared to August 9th general election.
Ingawaje nafanya kazi mbali, ndio maana nimechelewa kufika kura. Na kwa matumaini yangu naona kazi inaendelea salama, na naona amani iko sawa. Hakuna jambo linaendelea vibaya. Everything is doing well. Incumbent Raymond Moi cast his vote at Messengery Primary School and accused his main competitor, Paul Chebor, of conspiring with IEBC and UDA leaders to intimidate and coerce voters.
And I think this issue where elected members are all over Rongai, and they are mobilizers, and they are, I don't know, they call them ward agents and so forth. I think it is not fair because the playing field is not level. They are out there to attempt to intimidate voters from Rongai in order that their parties may take the day.
Accusations that the UDA candidate dismissed, saying the incumbent was panicking after sensing defeat.
No, hakuna kampeni inaendelea. Wale waheshimiwa walikuja ni wale wanaleta moral support. Hawana issue acha interfere na any polling station, hakuna shida yote. Hiyo ni uoga ya siasa. Tayari is sensing defeat. Kwa hivyo hapumusike tu, by saa 12 tutakuwa tumemalizana na yeye.
KPPR MP elect Wanjiko Mohia was among UDA leaders who were observing parliamentary election in Rongai.
Naangalia tu shughuli vile inaendelea, kama iko na amani, kama kuna vurugu na mambo kama hayo. Na tunaona shughuli inaendelea vizuri, igawa the turnout ama wale watu wamejitokeza ni wachache sana.
There was drama at Masengeri polling station after irate voters roughed up and evicted Nakuru Town East Member of Parliament-elect David Gikaria over alleged attempt to influence voters to vote for his preferred candidate. Police on standby had to intervene to quell the act voters, while a sympathizer with a motorbike whisked away the member-elect to safety. The parliamentary election has attracted 3 contestants, including Luka Kigen of Chama cha Mashinani Party. The tallying process is currently underway at Nakuru Teachers Training College.
Now, just in case you're wondering if that was what is happening currently, well, those are just the scenes that were recorded yesterday. Low voter turnout that was characterized across all the 8 areas that were, conducting the elections there, and some of the issues or other constituents or the electorate who was down on ground. They said the issue that these elections had been postponed twice, and then there was just lethargy, around going back to the polls. Well, a majority of Kenyans had already taken to the polls there, and also that's just influence in terms of wanting to get back to work, the political season being over, but we'll be keeping tabs on that and even look at the low voter turnout and how it affected the numbers in the said area. That was Rongai constituency in Nakuru County, given that Nakuru County has set the bar in as far as women leadership are concerned, having the top leadership there, governor and senator also being female. And we also saw changes that even we understand around 4 MCAs within the county are women, with the likes of Jane Kehara there, the woman rep, retaining her seat there as woman rep. And there's been a question, and I think this is going to be addressed on Eye on Politics with one of our analysts here that Victor is going to be hosting. In the event that Raymond Moi, who was eyeing the Rongai constituency seat, actually trying to retain his seat, if he shouldn't or somewhat doesn't make it to that point, what happens to the influence in as far as Rift Valley politics is concerned by the Moi family, because his younger brother, that is former Senator Gideon Moi, failed to retain his seat as Senator Baringo. The question of influence in Rift Valley as witnessed across, or rather during the August polls. That's a question we'll be having addressed as we talk matters of, politics. And in case you're wondering why KBC Channel 1 is not telling you who is ahead, as a national broadcaster, we are only entitled to give you verified results from the various areas. That's why we're not going to be telling you so-and-so is leading in this particular ward or constituency up until we have the verified results by IEBC. We'll be keeping tabs on that, and our reporters are on ground. We're expecting them to give us live updates in not too long. Now we go to Kitui Rural, where incumbent Kitui member of National Assembly David Mwalika is threatened yesterday to sue the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, for delaying the elections that were set to be held on August 9th. Mwalika was speaking after casting his vote at Mbitini ward in Kitui Rural constituency.
6 a.m. at Kanyangi Ward, 3 polling stations were open with voters already queuing to cast their votes. Satisfied with the process, a section of voters expressed their joy in what they termed as a smooth exercise.
Naendelea poa, mimi naona sio kama ile wakati mwingine.
Wakati mwingine ilikuwaje?
Ilikuwa tukisoma huko, sasa hii hakuna kusoma. Tuna delay, sasa hakuna delay.
Endelea vizuri, si kama ile siku nyingine kulikuwa na delay. Mala kuna magaragaza haikuwa.
Former Member of National Assembly Charles Nyamai, who was vying through a UDA ticket, cast his vote at 8 a.m.
So good, the preparations right from when the ballot boxes were opened at Seko University, Tallying Center, which I witnessed, up to where we are now. So far, so good.
Drama ensued at the Kanyangi ward after a lady who is said to be an agent was allegedly accused of bribing voters. Incumbent Member of National Assembly David Mwalika cast his vote at Mbitini ward. He, however, threatened to sue IBC over the delayed elections, saying he has incurred losses in the electoral process.
Kitu ambayo inahusinisha sana kwa sababu unajua siasa ni expensive. Kwa hivyo tumeingia gharama kubwa sana. Na kitu ya kushangaza ni wakati tulikutana na huyu mwenyekiti Chepkati. Alituomba msamaha tu na akasema hakuna kitu inaweza fanyika. Na mimi kama mkombeaji wa hii kiti nitaenda kotini kudai gharama yangu. Kwa sababu mimi nimeumia kifedha, nimeumia kiroho, familia yangu imeumia, wafuasi wangu wameumia.
We'll be expecting an update from Kitui Rural there, where we have our reporter Mwoki on ground to let us know what happened over the night as the tallying continues there. But for now, let's focus on matters judiciary and litigation. Now, the National Security Advisory Committee has filed an affidavit at the Supreme Court disputing claims it wanted to force moderation of the August 9th presidential results. In an affidavit filed by the head of public service, Joseph Kenya, who is also the chairperson of the advisory committee, the team admitted meeting the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson Wafula Chebukati, but only on security concerns. The committee says the claim it wanted to tinker with the presidential results are not only far-fetched but also cast aspersions on the functioning of critical government offices.
In response to affidavits filed by the IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati, the National Security Advisory Committee, led by its chair Joseph Kinyua, who is also the head of public service, have disputed allegations leveled against the team that they visited the IEBC chair to influence him to subvert the will of the people by declaring a certain candidate the winner. In the affidavit, Kenya says earlier on, efforts to speak to Chebukati and other members of the commission had been unresponsive. Further, Kenya says the meeting had been necessitated by delays in the declaration of presidential results and the manner in which the results were being transmitted, including stoppage of the public display of results. The stoppage, he says, had generated considerable public anxiety and tension and risked creating the opportunity for chaos, violence and insecurity in parts of the country. In the meantime, Professor Kithure Kindiki, a Kenya Kwanza chief agent, has filed an application to have IEBC commissioners struck out of the petition from being separate respondents. Kindiki says the action to have the commissioners as respondents is not envisioned under Article 140 of the Constitution, saying such an action will compromise the president-elect's right to fair trial. A similar application has been filed by UDA's Deputy Chief Agent Josephat Nanok, who is also questioning why individual commissioners have been enjoined as respondents. Nanok says that it is unconstitutional as the recent election was held by IEBC and not individual commissioners. Meanwhile, John Githongo has filed another affidavit recanting his earlier affidavit. Githongo claims he had based his sworn affidavit to logs supplied by a young man, which has come to prove to be screenshots meant for demo on how the IEBC server could be accessed and manipulated.
The pre-trial conference of the presidential petition by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance Raila Amolo Odinga against the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and 8 others has been scheduled for today at 11 a.m. Among housekeeping issues to be addressed are the interlocutory application and anyone seeking to be enjoined as amicus curiae, as well as set timelines for each petitioner and rebuttal. It will also see the allocation of time and which matters will take precedence during the trial.
All eyes will be on the Supreme Court starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. as the pre-trial conference of the presidential petition, followed by Azimio Umoja's Raila Odinga and 8 others commence. The whole bench of 7 judges of the Supreme Court will hear and determine the presidential election petitions filed. Unlike the 2017 presidential petition, where only 6 judges were involved in the election petition.
All the 7 judges are expected to participate. Remember, in the last season, we only had 6 judges participating. This time round, we expect all of them to be present.
The Chief Registrar Anamadi further confirms that about 20 interlocutory applications have been made and the rulings will be sent electronically.
Interlocutory applications are applications that happen before the main hearing to sort out issues that a particular party would have an interest in. For example, if I want to join it as an interested party, that decision has to be made before we go into the hearing proper. As at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, all the rulings relating to the interlocutory applications shall have been delivered so that the pre-trial session begins without any pending applications.
The pre-trial conference will also address issues of the amicus curiae, which means friends of the court, as well as housekeeping and brigades to time allocation during submissions.
There are some who are seeking different orders relating to the scrutiny of the votes. So these applications are being considered, and all the rulings will be delivered to the respective parties electronically.
Given the limited space at the ceremonial hall where the hearing will take place, only 4 lawyers from each party will be allowed. Petitioners, respondents, interested parties and amicus curiae, as well as 11 observers, including a regional trial observation mission consisting of a high-level panel of eminent African jurists who are members of Africa Judges and Juries Forum, led by retired Chief Justice of the Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Justice Mohammed Shande Othman. Members of the public have been advised to follow the proceedings from their homes, with security being beefed up to ensure the process is completed without interference.
We are allowing the media to broadcast the information to the public, so if people can just listen from the comfort of their living rooms, it will help us quite a bit because we don't want to run into problems with crowd management.
Following the strict timelines, the hearing will kick off immediately, with judgment expected on the 5th of September. The 7-judge bench now is expected to give a ruling on the interlocutory applications filed, consider whether to enjoin any amicus curiae and whether to consolidate the 9 petitions on the presidential election petitions.
Now, we'll be keeping tabs on developments at the Apex Court this morning at 11 a.m. But we want to take you down to Mombasa County 001, that was had its constituents and electorate participate in the voting exercise to pick who is going to replace the first ever governor, that is outgoing Governor Ali Hassan Joho. Junaid, good morning. What is the status update from the main county tallying center in Mvita?
Right, good morning, Regina. We are at the Kenya School of Government, formerly known as GTI building, where this is the main dais where Swalha Yusuf, who is the county returning officer, will be making the official announcement in a matter of hours. What we know right now, 5 constituencies so far have already arrived here at the county tallying center to submit the results that they had tallied other constituency levels. Now, we have results from various polling stations. If you will allow me, let me just go through some of them. In Jomvu, those summers, there are 6 constituencies in Mombasa County. 5 have already submitted. They are here, are submitting their results. We are awaiting Likoni constituencies. So let me just begin with Jomvu constituency, where Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is leading with 15,698 votes. He is followed by Hassan Omar with 11,038 votes. This is a region where we saw that Badi Twalib, the sitting member of parliament, was adamant campaigning for him for Abdul Swamad's time in Memorial, and the gap of 4,000, almost 4,000 votes between Abdul Swamad and Hassan Omar was expected. In Kisauni constituency, this was a very tight race, a close race, I might say, between the UDA candidate and the ODM candidate. However, Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir emerged top with 21,796 votes compared to Hassan Omar of the UDA party with 20,759. Just a minor difference there of 100 votes, of several hundred votes. This was a close race in Kisauni constituency. In Nyali, another area that was a stronghold for Hassan Omar, it was also another tight race. This we saw the agents manning their strongholds. The Kenya Kwanza fraternity polling agents, they were really manning their strongholds. However, even as that unfolds, the people of Nyali have decided that their governor is Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir with 22,387 votes. Hassan Omar follows very closely with 21,508 votes. That is a Nyali constituency. We head to Mvita. In Mvita, Abdul Swamad, this is his former area of legislation. As the member of parliament, of course, he was supposed to get more votes. He was expected, rather, to get more votes than Hassan Omar. So he managed to garner 24,106 votes, followed by Hassan Omar, who came in second with 19,086 votes. Quite a huge gap, a huge margin. There it was expected, considering that Mvita member of he was the former member of parliament for Mvita. Lastly, we go to Changamwe. In Changamwe, this was a really hotly contested seat. This is where another stronghold for the UDA fraternity. However, following the handshake of the sitting member of parliament, who is Omar Mwinyi, and Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir was able to just up his numbers during this last minute rush, and he was able to garner 17,740 votes, followed by Hassan Omar of the UDA party with 15,898 votes. Now, out of the 5 constituency, Abdul Swamad is leading with 101,657,000 votes, followed by Sarai or Hassan Omar of the UDA party with 88,361 votes. Regina, these are results for 5 constituencies out of 6. We understand Likoni has already received results of the 20 remaining polling stations. What is happening on that side of the world is that they are just tallying, doing the final tally. We expect that in 30 minutes or thereabout, we will be getting the results, the final tally from Likoni constituency before the returning officer makes his way here at the Kenya School of Government in Vita within the CBD. So currently, Regina, I repeat, out of the 5 constituencies that we have tallied from the results that were announced overnight, Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is leading with 101,657 votes. Hassan Omar is following with 88,361 votes. In Likoni, we cannot know for sure who how the vote goes, but we are following with our colleagues, and from the polling results that were relayed on that tallying center at the constituency level, Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is leading. However, we are waiting for the final tally from the constituency returning officer before we declare officially that Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is leading. So what is happening behind me, Regina, is Swalha Yusuf is receiving the constituency returning officer. The one she's with is the Kisauni constituency returning officer. Is just receiving and clearing them before meeting the other constituency returning officers, clearing them. We understand they have already submitted as expected or as mandated by the IEBC to come and give their figures here at the county tallying center before the official announcement is made by Swalha Yusuf. Right in the evening, we understand that the Abdul Swamad and his supporters were within the CBD during the night, aggressively celebrating the results that were being relayed, that they had tallied individually from their individual tallying center, and it was a very heightened, I must say, celebrations. He was accompanied by the former, who will become the former governor, the outgoing governor Hassan Joho, amongst a host of Azimio leaders. They are not yet here at the main tallying center. I'm sure we are expecting them to make their way here today to come and join Abdul Swamad as that pronouncement by the returning officer is made. We are yet to get a word from the UDA camp from Hassan Omar, just to get his feel whether or not he is accepting these results, or he has any lamentations, or he will concede to the results. He is yet to make his official pronouncement on the matter. However, we are here. We are waiting for the arrival of the relaying of the results of Likoni constituency. Thereafter, we will give you a conclusive figure of who exactly has won so far. Abdul Swamad is winning. Hassan Omar is yet to concede, given us a word whether or not he accepts those results. We are here. This is day 2 for us. My colleagues Michael Mondiga and Ann Guru are with me, and we will be giving you timely updates as they come. So in the next 30 minutes, Regina, I'll be coming back to you with the Likoni constituency results as they are being announced, so that I can give you a conclusive figure out of the 6 constituencies in Mombasa, how many have tallied. Regina, if you have any questions.
Indeed, Junaid, thank you for that quick update. So we have 5 out of 6, and in the next maybe 30 minutes or so, we will be knowing, or rather having, the conclusive figure in regard to that particular tight race in Mombasa. Now, yesterday, Junaid, there was conversation and allegation on voter bribery. Has there been any official report that has been made to the security apparatus in Mombasa County in regard to that matter?
Now, we were with Swalha Yusuf at 7 p.m. just trying to find out whether or not they have received any complaints, because she sits with a multi-agency task force which involves the security apparatus. She did not say that they got any complaint, neither did her polling officials give her any lamentations or any voter bribery. What we understand is the politicians or the political fraternity as well as the candidates were making these allegations of, I saw this one doing this, but we could not substantiate the results, the accusations that they were making against each other. Either way, the day ended peacefully. We did not see any aggressiveness from the politicians of them fighting or exchanging blows. What we saw was a celebratory mood across the Mombasa CBD on Abdul Swamad's end, just to celebrate on their tallying. They had already finished their tallying according to them, and they were celebrating, but we did not get any report from any security apparatus of anyone being nabbed with voter bribery. If you could allow me to talk about the voter turnout also, Regina, the turnout has been quite low. In Kisauni, the constituency has registered, there are about 130 registered voters, but those who came out to vote are around 44,000 votes. That is a very low turnout, and that is a similar situation being witnessed across the divide. We have Nyali constituency also having over 124,000 registered voters, but what is being tallied again is about 40,000. So all of them are scoring around 40, but we are yet to get a conclusive figure from Madam Swalha to understand how the voter turnout came. But it is a very worrying number considering that there are over 600,000 registered voters in Mombasa. That is quite low in comparison to the general elections that registered 42%. Regina.
Thank you very much, Junaid, for that quick update. We'll still ask you to just hang around 40-30 minutes so that we get to know exactly who carries the day in Mombasa County. Over the last few weeks, we have been seeing two camps, Azimio, La Umoja, One Kenya Coalition, as well as Kenya Kwanza, having its representatives down there in County 01 to ensure that they carry the day for Mombasa County. Now we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
There. Good boys gone bad. Eric Omondi has evolved from being a comedian to now being the king of clout chasing.
How does a gospel artist make money?
Jaguar wept again. As a celeb, as a followers, but it's a time for artists to make bank.
Yes. How is your relationship with Zari, considering that she dates young?
These are accessories.
They get out, slap the guy.
Yo, what's up? My name is Ted Josiah.
Mashallah.
You sing about serious issues, it will not trend. If you sing about Adhiambo C.
No.
Bahati hata kuwa na machozi. Willy Paul ndo alikuwa anatoa machozi.
For your beat these boys with stones. That's all be logic. Yesu washukangi chini analeta pesa.
Musicians are missing the point.
Do we sip water?
You are watching Pop Culture with Adhiambo with a Y.
You're not authorized to enter the prince's palace.
I need to see the prince. Lady Lily is in labor. I needed to send the doctor now.
Your son didn't survive. Please spare me.
But he killed our baby.
What now? My king, it's not true.
Hear that? The baby's been born. She gave birth to a boy?
Yes, my lady.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. God damn you, summer, you're no right.
Dirty and you wash with soap, and there is no bad mind on the road. They shall slowly fade away.
Under the pressure, yeah, under the pressure.
Nothing they can do to stop this music.
Nobody, yeah. Pull up another Rari, yeah. Bare feelings that my carry.
Life cannot always be too serious.
Yeah, man, what's up, yeah?
Allah?
We've got to take some time off and laugh and laugh. And we tickle you down with lots of laughter.
That's why I'm saying I'm who is who.
Huh? With satire like no other.
Tell him to bring it on.
Dakachapa.
Good morning. You're watching In the Headlines right here on KBC Channel 1. I'm Regina Manyara. Now, the Apex Court is going to be sitting today from 11 a.m. Now, this will also see it is going to be conducting, among the issues is housekeeping issues that are going to be addressed by the interlocutory application and anyone seeking to be enjoined as amicus curiae, as well as the timelines for each petitioner and the rebuttal.
All eyes will be on the Supreme Court starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. as the pre-trial conference of the presidential petition, followed by Azimio Umoja's Raila Odinga and 8 others commence. The whole bench of 7 judges of the Supreme Court will hear and determine the presidential election petitions filed. Unlike the 2017 presidential petition, where only 6 judges were involved in the election petition.
All the 7 judges are expected to participate. Remember, in the last season, we only had 6 judges participating. This time round, we expect all of them to be present.
The Chief Registrar Anamadi further confirms that about 20 interlocutory applications have been made and the rulings will be sent electronically.
Interlocutory applications are applications that happen before the main hearing to sort out issues that a particular party would have an interest in. For example, if I want to join it as an interested party, that decision has to be made before we go into the hearing proper. As at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, all the rulings relating to the interlocutory applications shall have been delivered so that the pre-trial session begins without any pending applications.
The pre-trial conference will also address issues of the amicus curiae, which means friends of the court, as well as housekeeping and brigades to time allocation during submissions.
There are some who are seeking different orders relating to the scrutiny of the votes. So these applications are being considered and
Now, just a quick summary of what we should expect at 11 a.m. from the Apex Court. They're just hearing that is at 4 lawyers to each party. Remember, these are just negotiations between the respondents as well as the defense there. 4 lawyers each, 11 observers, and all judges, all the 7 judges are going to be attending all the hearings, as well as all clerks of the Supreme Court are going to be present. We'll get further details as the day proceeds. Remember, we have our reporter Serafina Robi, who is going to be keeping tabs on that. Now to Kiambu, where a 15-year-old Form 1 student who confessed to murdering her 3 siblings and a cousin in the past 1 year has been detained for 14 days to allow the DCI to complete investigations. The juvenile, who was arraigned before the Kikuyu Senior Resident Magistrate Catherine Mboro Monday, will undergo mental and age assessment. No charges were preferred against the minor yet.
The case was heard in camera owing to the fact that the suspect is a juvenile, with an officer from the DPP, Cliff Machogu, later informing the media that the 14 days granted to the investigation officers will see her undergo a mental and age assessment. Machogu added that the confession by the suspect is not admissible in law and hence not prosecutable. The case will be mentioned on 12 September 2022 and the suspect will be detained at the Kabete Children's Remand Home. the Form 1 student at Kawadhei Girls Secondary School, confessed to detectives how she murdered her kin aged 15 months, 5 years and 7 years between February and July 2021.
That particular confession by the 15-year-old minor indeed has taken the country into storm with, looking as if it's a piece of some Steven Spielberg kind of horror movie. But it's not a movie, it is actually real life occurrences. We'll be keeping tabs on that particular development, given that she's a minor and that admission now to murdering her sibling and a cousin are not admissible in court. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti has pledged to fix the dysfunctional health sector within her first 100 days in office. Wavinya, who began settling down to work, and her new team promised to turn around the healthcare sector. This comes as several elected county bosses started working as they embarked on measures to meet the election pledges.
An impromptu visit to the county's largest health facility revealed glaring gaps at the Machakos Level 5 hospital, with the Machakos County boss Wavinya Ndeti a turnaround of the health sector.
The biggest problem here is medication, their supply of medicine. So that is one thing that we are going to work on within the next 100 days to ensure that we have medicine in all our hospitals, and then from there we will have immediate, short and long-term plans for all our hospitals to make sure that we move in the right direction.
Wavinya further directed the establishment of a digitized system of patients' records and referrals in order to facilitate ease of disease management.
We have some machines, maybe just 1 or 2 machines that are not working, and we're going to ensure that the 2 machines work. But what is important is to have medicine in the hospitals, not only this level 5, but all the other hospitals, to ensure that our people are well taken care of.
Her counterpart from Turkana also noting that his government will set aside funds that will be used to improve the health sector.
I think this should be a thing of the past, because we are going to provide the necessary measures. We have the money. We have the money to ensure serve this facility. There is only 1 ambulance that's operational, I think, in the county. We want to set a small budget that can make us buy more ambulances. And we are going also to repair those that have already been grounded.
In Kisii County, the new county government administration has decried dismal management of garbage in urban centers and promising to address it hours after it took oath of office. Speaking at Keumbu Township in Kisii Central, Deputy Governor Dr. Robert Munda regretted the state of small-scale enterprises owing to the uncollected garbage.
We want to acquire machines that will be processing this waste. We sort the waste. For those that do not decompose, we put them aside, treat them differently. We recycle the plastics, because they are recyclers who are looking for plastics. So we shall have people to sort out the waste.
Muranga Governor Irungu Kangata says the county will henceforth purchase medicine exclusively from the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA. Speaking during his maiden tour of the county government offices, Kangata said the move will cut out middlemen involved when purchasing drugs from private entities by eliminating kickbacks.
The huge debt owing to KEMSA of about almost 35 million. And on that reason, our accounts were frozen. But we had an engagement with the chief officer of KEMSA. She agreed to unfreeze our accounts. By doing that, we shall be eliminating cartels.
The new governor also vowed to prioritize the county bursary program named Nyota Zetu so as to ensure the learning of the beneficiaries was not interrupted.
Now, governors are getting down to business there after we saw or rather witnessed at least the swearing in of 45 governors last week. Wavinya Ndeti there setting the pace and focusing on matters of health. Now, we want to take you down to County 37, that is Kakamega, where we have a reporter, Wycliffe Okech, on standby to bring us up to speed with what is happening in regard to the election exercise that took place yesterday and the subsequent tallying. He is live from the County Tallying Center, and that is Kakamega High School. Good morning, Wycliffe.
Good morning to you, Regina Manyara, back in Nairobi. Of course, we are coming to you live from Kakamega High School, which is the Kakamega County Tallying Center for this particular exercise. Remember, this exercise, the polling exercise concluded yesterday at 5 p.m. and immediately after that, the counting of votes began at the various polling stations. Thereafter, they moved to the constituency level. And right now, the gist of all this exercise is at the County Tallying Center, where right now, if you can hear from the background, the county returning officer, that is Joseph Ayata, declaring results from various constituencies that have been delivered to this particular tallying center here. Remember, Kakamega County has a total of 12 constituencies, and so far only 5 have been tallied and declared. And just to paint for you a picture of the current the type of race that we are having here in Kakamega, remember there are a total of 7 candidates that are seeking to succeed the outgoing governor, that is Wycliffe Oparanya. Among them, we have 2 candidates that are vying for this post on an independent ticket. Others are vying on various political parties. And just to mention a few, we have Fernandez Barasa of ODM under the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition vying for that particular seat. And also we have Cleophas Malala of ANC, that is under the Kenya Kwanza coalition, actually also seeking to succeed the outgoing governor there. And so far, like I've mentioned, only 5 of the 12 constituencies have been called and declared here. And maybe just to give you some of the statistics that we have so far now, Barasa is actually taken the lead out of the 12 constituencies. Barasa is leading with 70 votes, 902. Cleophas Malala is coming second with 64,056 votes. We have Cyrus Jirongo coming third with 1,385 votes. Is being followed by Suleiman Sumba with coming fourth with 387 votes. We have Samuel Omukoko coming fifth with 387 votes actually, and Michael Osundwa coming sixth with 279 votes. Lastly, we have Austin Opitso coming seventh with 67 votes. That shows you that the kind of race we are having here in Kakamega is shaping up or panning out to be between 2 people. Actually here we have the race is panning out to be between the ODM's Fernandez Baraza here and ANC's Cleophas Malala under the Kenya Kwanza coalition. That is the race that we're having here in Kakamega. Remember, I've said that the Kakamega constitutes or rather has 12 constituencies, and so far the county returning officer, Mr. Joseph Ayata, has managed to declare results, or to call results for 5 constituencies. That means we still have 7 more constituencies to go. That means this exercise is set to go through to the midday. That is when probably we'll know who the next governor for this particular county is. Reggie.
In regard to where we stand when it comes to that tight race there in Kakamega, and it has been a push and pull, especially to the 2 coalitions, that is Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja. Now, yesterday morning we saw a curious case of an alleged hacking of outgoing governor, that is Wycliffe Oparanya's Facebook account there, and insinuating that he had a preferred candidate. Did that have any impact maybe on ground when it comes to the voter turnout, as well as what the electorate had to say about that issue? And has there been made an official communication or a report to have that matter investigated? Wycliffe.
Wonderful. That's a very nice question. And following that question, we followed up with the outgoing governor, that is Oparanya, on the issue of the alleged hacking of his account there. And he said that investigation has been launched, and that the people that are responsible for that kind of allegation will be brought to book. But then we can't really tell whether that information actually played a role in the low voter turnout that was witnessed yesterday. Yesterday, we can pin the low voter turnout on two major things. Actually, when one of the candidates went to vote at Bukungu, that is Cleophas Malala, and even Fernandez Barasa, those are some of the leading candidates in this race, they mentioned two things as some of the contributing factors to the low voter turnout. One of them being the election that was held on 9th of this month. Actually, you do remember that the presidential election that declared the president-elect William Ruto the winner has been contested, and now that case is lying before the Supreme Court. And the candidates were very quick to mention that, especially even the outgoing governor, that is Oparanya, was quick to mention that case has played a part largely in dampening the spirit of the electorate. And another thing is that you see, this election had been postponed twice, and now the electorate were not really able, in as much as that a holiday was declared in this county, along with other areas that are witnessing the by-elections there. That with that holiday, it did not play a part, as some people, you see, in Kakamega is also cosmopolitan in nature. And then some people might have traveled to work to their various workplaces, and that's one of the contributing factors to the low voter turnout yesterday. But right now, we can't really tell whether the alleged hacking of the outgoing governor's Facebook account played a part in that kind of in the low voter turnout witnessed yesterday. Reggie.
Thank you very much, Will Cliff, for that update in regard to what is happening in County 37, that is Kakamega. And we know it is of importance, just as Mombasa County is in the race of numbers in as far as governor representation is concerned. We'll be keeping tabs on that. You can be sure that we will be eyeing that to know exactly who carries the day. Will ODM further its dominance in Western Kenya, or will UDA carry the day there, being the main contenders in that particular race? So far, ODM dominance in Western region is evident. 8 out of the 12 members of parliament are under ODM, with Musalia Mudavadi as ANC garnering only 3 parliamentary seats, that is in Navaholo, Malava and Shinyalu. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Just to remind you also that this morning all eyes are going to be directed to the Apex Court that is going to be sitting for the pre-trial conference at 11 a.m. What we know at the moment is that at least some of the issues that are going to be discussed is at time allocation, how many lawyers will each party be given, and we know that 11 observers are going to be present. All the 7 judges are going to be present for all the hearings, including their clerks. And yesterday, the trial observation of jurists headed by retired Chief Justice of the Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Justice Mohammed, will be attending all the Supreme Court hearings to monitor and document the presidential election petition based on the human rights standards of fair trial, as well as analyze the independence of the judiciary. Remember, Kenya is indeed a pace setter, not only in the East African region, but also across Africa. We will be keeping tabs on that. That puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Remember, further details are available on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. I'm Regina Manyara, and I leave in the capable hands of the rest of the team. You are watching Good Morning Kenya.
I will not allow you to show up in my hotel, giving yourself a chance to brag like this. I will not allow it.
What do you plan to do to stop it?
You know quite well that marriage isn't really my thing. Do you understand? We're all unsuited for marriage.
Where did you leave my baby? What orphanage did you put him in?
I want you to speak to him and tell him that his dad is here and he wants to meet him as soon as possible. There's one thing I know.
What is it? Tell me.
I don't want to stop seeing you.
That if you keep being rude and arrogant to everyone, you won't make anything of yourself.
Mimi niache kazi zangu hapa, nitoke hapa nikamtafute badi na mshauri, namwambia nini mimi hasa?
Kwa hivyo tafadhali usinifanye hasira zangu nikakumalizia wewe, eti kwa sababu nataka kunizuia nisimwone mtoto wangu.
Ni mara ngapi mimi nilikupigia simu kushika? Na karibu hapa Kate atue kwa sababu yako wewe na huyo mtoto wake.
Ati nini? Sikini safari. Mwanzio wantia majonzi.
Mwanzio mimi. Hebu ondoka nayo chai yako hapa.
This is the way we're going to invade your sitting rooms once every week. Allah.
And this is what we mean. The originals. Lipua Lipua. Veve Productions. Orchestra Kiam. And so much more.
Merindimo ya ngoma za rumba kutoka pembe zote za Afrika. Zilizopepea, zinazopepewa kwa kiasi ambacho hutang'atuka ng'o from your sitting room.
Wow, Buzi Buziana, Scholar Miel, Betty Beast, Fifi Mofude, among others.
Bridge over Congo with Simeon Mfumu Kimbangu.
And Winnie Marie-Jose on KBC Channel 1.
Zambia Sambela Kate, Ako Sambela Nani.
God does not worship. To whom will he worship?
Honorable Kajos Mafu.
Welcome back to the program. You're still on Good Morning Kenya. Time for our first conversation this Wednesday morning. We talk matters entrepreneurship and we explore how we can just get possible solutions for SMEs in Africa, in Kenya, and expand that to Africa. My guest on set will be helping us navigate that. To my immediate left, that is Sophia Mohammed, who is a front-end software developer at Dial Africa. Right next to her is Bernard Murwa, who is the co-founder at Dial Africa. Karibu sana, lady and gent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sophia, how are you feeling? Is he relaxed? Yeah. Good job. Now, let me just start with you, Bernard, and to just, explain to us and make us understand, before we get to the whole nitty-gritties of SMEs and what it contributes to our economy and what we need to do in respect to just getting solutions to the challenges it faces. Let's start by first understanding Dial Africa, its mandate, why it was formed, and basically how it comes in to help SMEs.
So Dial Africa is a software-first company. That's just for start. And why Dial Africa was formed is we looked at African businesses, for example, right? So Africa as is has about 70% of its business as SMBs, right? Which I think contribute about 80% of the GDP here in Africa. But then we looked at what are the tools, so why is it that African companies are not in a position to be able to compete with their foreign compatriots, right? And it mostly boils down into the tools they use for businesses. So the tools that we use here in Africa for businesses, most of them are a little bit outdated, right? And the ones that are actually in the market that can help SMBs are very, very expensive. We find in such a way that most SMEs have not been in a position to even afford them, right? So we came together at Dial Africa, decided to build customer support tools that can help SMBs to serve the African community and make softwares that is actually speaks to African SMBs, so has customizations that speak to African SMBs, or softwares that are affordable enough for African SMBs as is, and give them at least a fighting capability or put them in a position to be able to fight with, or to be able to compete with the foreign compatriots that are in the market also.
Well said. And I'll come to you, Sophia, just as you finalize and working on your mic, make sure that your sound is out there. But let me just pick it up with you, Bernard, and you largely also touched on customer relations as you're explaining, how Dial Africa came about. But I mean, when you look at SMEs as a whole, there's so many challenges that are posed in this kind of sector. Why specifically choose on customer relations?
So, if you look at it, it all boils down to what really every business cares about, not just SMBs. Okay. But what every business cares about is how do you, apart from just how do you acquire customers, is also how do you retain customers, and how do you understand what your customers need, right? And that also boils down to the ability for you to keep your customers happy, for them to come back the next day and ask for a certain product. And that's where now our focus is. Our focus now comes into how do you ensure that you serve your customers, keep them happy in such a way that they always come back, which in turn always gets your business growing, because in the end you want your business to grow from 1 customer to 2 to 3, and it all boils down to, are they happy with the services they're getting, right? And that's now where we come in to give these particular SMBs the tools to keep their customers happy, the tools to be able to serve this particular pool of customers, and to always have them coming back for more. Yeah.
Well said. So how do you make your customers happy? How do you ensure you retain them so they can keep coming? Looks like it's one also of the biggest challenges that SMEs are really facing amongst the host of different the challenges like finances, skills, training, and so on. But let me bring you on this one, Sophia. So talk to me about your role, even just when it came to developing this software. When was it developed? How long did it take? And so far, how has it helped SMEs?
It has helped SMEs, like we provide customer support, for example, through calls. We have inbound calls and outbound calls. And also we provide ticketing where customers can converse with the business through social media integration, for example, WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, and all that. So the main essence of this Dial Africa is to maintain an efficient customer relationship, whereby they have calls, we have ticketing, we also have automation bots. And Dial Africa has been since 2019. And the development, it took us around 6 months to 1 year.
Just develop the software.
To develop and to deploy it.
Okay, so that clearly takes took some time.
Yeah.
So how has the progress been in terms of just bridging that gap and trying to ensure that indeed at the end of the day this could be a challenge that could perhaps be curbed when it comes to how SMEs deal with or handle the customers?
Of course, first there are versions released, and you learn from those versions. Like after every version, you add what customers need. For example, we first deployed only for the call bit, then the ticketing bit, then our sales CRM is also yet to launch. So we just keep on adding according to how the customers are reacting and how we could increase the revenue for our customers, for the businesses.
So you equally work in tandem, with the business enterprises, in tandem as well with the customers, to also know what to change, what to develop as you move forward. All right, let me come back to you. You want to add on that?
Yeah, I can just add on that. So one of the things that that we say, for example, like we are trying to push for African SMEs, right, to give them the fighting capability they need to be able to compete with our foreign compatriots, comes down to also affordability. If you look at the softwares that are actually in the market, right, if you want some other elements, like let's say you want customization elements in those particular softwares to fit your business needs, you'd have to pay extra, right? You'd have to pay extra for most of these Western softwares. And most of the SMBs in Africa do not have that capability to pay extra. So what Dial Africa gives them, which Sophia was trying to also just put out there, is we also give these particular SMBs an option to customize on their behalf, customize our software to fit their particular need. For example, if we are serving software, if we are serving an industry, for example, under healthcare, right, we're able to customize our software to specifically fit the healthcare needs. If we are serving, for example, we have clients under oil and gas, or we have some other clients also that do retail, right? So we customize our software to fit their specific industry, right? So our softwares are industry agnostic, and we customize it to fit each particular SMB's needs, so that the data they are collecting is actually data that they can be able to internalize and actually make business sense out of it. Yeah.
So then that means that it's not just one general software. It actually business per business, enterprise per enterprise, based on the needs, so that at the end of the day it actually goes ahead and meets the needs.
Because how KBC, for example, would want to collect data would be a bit different with how a retail, for example, someone in the retail industry would want to collect their data. So we have to just customize the software a little bit to be able to fit this particular different African SMEs, and which is something that if you are using a foreign software, right, you'd have to pay a whole lot of extra, right? It would cost you an arm and leg to just be able to afford that level of customization that we give you here locally. Yeah.
Sophia, based on the areas that you already deployed and based on the feedback that you've gotten, what are some of those things that perhaps enterprises are complaining about when it comes to customer service and customer relation? Because at least so far we are already establishing that aside from just finances, which oftentimes looks to always be the biggest problem when it comes to SMEs, we're also equally learning that customer service relation is equally a big problem and needs to be, to move past that. So in terms of feedback, what are you getting from enterprises?
For example, one of the main challenges they are facing is that ability to make smart decisions. And we try to solve that by providing a machine learning and an AI solution, whereby we give them analytics and they have access to, which through those analytics they can see where they went wrong or how their business is expanding and all, and they make smart decisions based on that. So that analytics is working behind the machine learning and AI. So with that, they're able to shape their business, they're able to get feedback from their customers, and also increase revenue in the long run.
All right. Now, digital space is clearly growing, and just borrowing also from what Sophia is clearly explaining there, Bernard. But then why should entrepreneurs embrace this space, right? Because I mean, right now when we actually have any kind of conversation, we're saying that everything is moving to the digital space. Conversations are happening in the digital space. So this is like our new world, our new norm. So then why should entrepreneurs embrace this?
So digital space growing also brings about the conversations ongoing right now and for digital economy, right? So every company or every particular industry is trying to move into the ability to tap into the digital economy, and that brings about how do you serve a population right now? If you look at the Gen Z population, for example, how do you serve the Gen Z population? Most of them do not want, what do they prefer in terms of how to communicate with you as a business, right? And if you look at most of the Gen Z population data-wise, at 60% to almost 80% of Gen Z population would prefer a self-service kind of customer support approach, which comes into some of the things that we've been able to introduce, right? So most of the Gen Z do not want to pick up a phone and call a company for services A, B, C, D. They want to have that ability to be able to get kind of a self-serve kind of approach, right? And you'll find like solutions like now ticketing, which is what we have. or solutions like what Sophia was talking about in terms of bots, where we have like bots and AI that can pre-answer. Think of it like what Safaricom has under Zumi. Is it called Zuri or Zuri? Zuri, right? Yeah, like you're able to get answers directly from this particular bot, even without calling them directly. So these are some of the things that we also have under Dial Africa, right? And we give companies the ability to have these particular bots, the Gen Z that do not want to call in, right, which is as you know, the biggest population that actually tap into the digital economy is this Gen Z and Gen Y. And for them, they want to have that ability to...
now we have Gen Y. Okay.
They want to have that ability to, just interact directly with an AI that can give them the said answers they want without having to spend a lot of time waiting for someone to pick a phone call, and which is also part of the things that we offer at Dial Africa. So we're able to create an AI that can tap into your knowledge base as a company and give very, very informed answers to your customers instantly without them having to go through a very long process to get to you. So it increases how they're able to reach you. It reduces the number of hours, or it reduces even you as a company, your expenses that you would have to incur to be able to have a very huge team of customer support. You'd just have to have a single bot that it's there on your website or is there on your social media sites that can answer your users in real time without them having to go through a very, very strenuous process. So this all comes into embracing the digital economy, embracing how people in the new era want to be able to communicate to businesses, or how they want to be able to get access to information they need.
I mean, clearly, just going by what you are explaining there, Dial Africa is really coming up with solutions to see how SMEs can be assisted to even grow holistically altogether. But just let me backtrack a bit, because when you look at, yes, indeed, you're coming up with solutions, but this is a sector that contributes a lot even to the growth of our economy as a country. Right now, as we speak, we're talking about 33.3% in terms of GDP, and the projection is that in the next 3 years that will actually increase to about 50%. But in your own analysis, do you think enough is being done to just ensure that this sector grows? Because also in terms of employment, cuts across 80%.
Yeah. I think there is a push to actually empower more SMEs. There is a push to actually empower more SMEs. As you said, it's one of the biggest contributors to our GDP, right? So, and for us as under Dial Africa, our job as in our part, the part we want to play is the ability to give these particular SMEs, as you mentioned before, the tools or the softwares they would need to be able to grow, and the softwares they'll need to be able to fully make very, very informed decisions. Most businesses fail not because they don't have the push that they have. Most businesses fail not because they don't have a vision, right? But most businesses would fail because of poor decision making. And poor decision making boils down from what are you using to be able to make this particular decision? So what kind of data do you have to be able to narrow down on why you want to do one or two things? And at Dial Africa, we actually go through or skim this data on your behalf. So we skim through this data on your behalf and actually give you very, very direct way, a direct approach on this is what your customers are saying, and this is how best you can be able to change this narrative for them to stay with you. So that's what we do at Dial Africa. And you don't necessarily, as a business, have to have a very big knowledge on analyzing data. And that's why we have guys like very smart people here like Sophia that now build these particular AIs that analyze this data for you and just feed you with information like, now this is the data, we've analyzed it on your behalf, and the AI just tells you your business needs 1, 2, 3, and this is how, if you implement this is where you'll go in the next 2 or 3 years. That's how we see us making a contribution to SMEs and just trying to propel them to go to the next step.
I mean, Sophia, Bernard is talking about poor decision making also being a big contributor, but is it just a question of only poor decision making? Because as you're saying, you're looking at 80%. This is, the percentage that actually contributes to in terms of employment? Because right now, as we speak, we're living at a time whereby unemployment is still an issue in our country. We're looking at 5.3 out of 13.7 million young people who are still currently jobless, just going by the 2019 census that was released in 2020 February. And when you look at SMEs, it actually contributes to 80%. So it actually shows you that this is a sector or an industry or an area that is very well capable to create more jobs if just there's a sort of like a good way to bridge the challenges. But is it just a question of only poor decision making, or more needs to be done in terms of empowering this sector? From where you see it, what would you say?
It's not just the poor decision making.
So there's more to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not having the right tools to converse with your customer. For example, most these SMEs, they're stuck on the old ways of keeping track of customers and how you do your business and all. And also, if they go to companies which offer services like Dial Africa, most of them are foreign companies, and of course they are expensive. But with Dial Africa, it's our very own, and also we provide. It's flexible. It's not that expensive. So I think the main reason it's just poor decision making is having the right tools, which most companies are missing.
Right tools, which most companies are missing. Can you read for us which tools are these ones? For someone who's actually even into business or hoping to start an enterprise, they may really be wanting to know. So if I am missing certain tools, which tools are these that perhaps I need to employ to grow my business?
For example, support tools for calls. As we said, the inbound calls, outbound calls, where you keep track of your customers, the ticketing tools, the integrations with WhatsApp and everything, and also the automatic bots that you are seeing. So those tools is what the most businesses are missing. And if they have access to, it's from these foreign companies where it's expensive. So at the end of the day, they lose track, and they just go back to the old way of recording their data and tracking customers.
All right. So much to say about customer service, Bernard, and customer relations, and we can equally agree just so far from this conversation that is an important area and aspect when it comes to SMEs. But then where does this leave the aspect of finances, skills, training when it comes to growing this kind of businesses?
So away from customer service, of course, as you mentioned, the other skills, right? Like financial management, right? For example, the other skills like the ability to just fully understand your business economics, right? So all this also boils down into how an SME is able to grow, right? For if I'm an SME, if I'm running a business here, for example, I'm running a small shop here in town, I need to have the ability to fully understand my business economics. Like if I put X amount of money today, right? Kesho, how much am I actually netting out? So the ability to understand this, ability to understand how best do I manage my finances, what priorities do I have to do, what do I have to prioritize in terms of my costings, right? Do I fully understand what my costings are in terms of for me to be able to generate a single shilling, how much am I spending to generate a single shilling, right? And what does that mean in terms of how much I have to net at the end of each particular month? So it all boils down to all this, and which, as you know, away from just us talking about this said solution, also we can comes into what decisions do you make in terms of also the softwares that you want to be able to implement. If I'm running, for example, a shop in town that sells clothes, right, and I'm selling most of these clothes on social media, how do I want to be able to interact with guys that are buying these clothes from social media? Or if I have a website, for example, right, how do I want to what is the most affordable way for me to be able to manage my costings, which of course results into how much I'm netting at the end of the day. What is the best softwares that I'm going to use in terms of communication, or softwares that I'm going to use to be able to manage my finances, if I'm going to use QuickBooks or if I'm going to use any other tool, right? Or if I have to pay for advertisements, for social media advertisements, for Instagram or Facebook or whatever. It all boils down into decision making in terms of how much am I spending to generate a single shilling, even if it's to run ads, if it's to get support softwares, or if it's to get financial management software, so all these kind of things, and which is the biggest push that we have, right, even as Dial Africa ourselves, as for example, just focusing on support tools is not really enough for SMEs. SMEs at the end of the day still needs softwares under finance, softwares under how best to manage ads out there, how best to basically manage how the whole business work, right? And we are just playing a very small role in it, which is also a very important role.
Yeah.
But in the end, there's still a lot to be done, and there's still a lot that we also feel like, of course, we can do as a business, but we also need more Kenyans to come out there, more Africans to come out there, and offer more solutions to these particular SMEs that can actually help to propel them further. Yeah.
You've talked about messaging, and now I'm just beginning to think that those are also one of those key areas, if at all you intend to grow your business. And we've already just dissected the fact that the social or the online platform, the digital platform, is the area to go. But then how do you cut out this messaging, or that depends on the enterprise?
I'd give an example, right?
Yeah.
If you're selling, for example, I'll take an example of someone that's selling for clothes in town, right? If I'm selling clothes, right, at a boutique in town, I'm selling them mostly via Instagram, for example. Right? What usually happens is you have an option to always answer DMs, right? You have an option to always answer DMs or get messaging from WhatsApp Business and the rest, right? But what that means is you lose on one of the most important things, which is trackability, right? Trackability is one of the things that you actually lose on. And the other things that you also lose on is fully understanding customer behavior, right? And fully being able to understand also these particular customer needs. So yes, you're interacting with them one by one, but then do you really have a tool that now boils down into the customer sentiment, right? So if you look at the tools that now we have under Dial Africa, they also run through this particular messaging. They pick up keywords in this particular messaging and analyze the sentiment out of it, like when customers how customers react after receiving your services, right? Are they joyful about this particular services? Are they disgusted? What they actually feel? And these are cues that you can actually pick from even text, not just a phone conversation alone, but you can be able to ascertain someone's sentiments even via text, or what keywords they have used in text to be able to know customer satisfaction rates or how they feel about product ABCD. That will also be able to help you as a business just from the messagings alone that you're getting, to be able to know this is how they feel about product A, or this is how they feel about this particular type of clothes that I'm bringing in. And that is the kind of things that we are trying to also offer out there.
Well said. Sophia, do you offer trainings even for enterprises to understand how to go about dealing with their customers? Because then the software could be good, could really be working well, even spread across, but then do they really understand how they need to be going about in dealing with their customers, how to maintain those relationships so that again they could come back? Because at the end of the day, business is about the customer, coming back. Is there trainings at Dial Africa?
Yeah, before a customer makes the final destination, there is that 2-week period where they get to become familiar with the software and everything. So in case within those 2 weeks we offer 100% support with nothing, no payment and everything. So those 2 weeks are like, it's those 2 weeks, it helps them make the decision if they will want to pursue our software, if they have any questions or how to go. That 2 weeks will help them understand more about how our software works, and so there's that time span.
Okay. How many, in terms of figures and numbers, can you say that so far you've offered the training on? Can you have you don't have an exact figure?
Not exact, but quite a number.
Quite a number.
Yeah.
And that is equally working out very well.
Yeah.
Okay. Bernard, percentages of SMEs in Africa that have embraced the digital customer service. Could you give a percentage? Could you give a number? Because we have said over time in this conversation that that's where we are moving to. The digital space is the place that indeed, even if you're not embracing, it's actually an area, whether you like it or not, you have to embrace it.
So At the moment, only 30%.
That is across Africa?
Across Africa, only 30%. And that just speaks to a lot in terms of there's still a lot to be done. So if the number we have is only 30% that have embraced this kind of digital setting, it leaves this other 70% untapped, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is most of this 70% is what we're trying to target, which is the SMEs. And if you look at even the numbers for last year, how much was lost because of just bad customer support? It's about $47 billion. That's a lot of money, right? And that is mostly being lost by SMEs, right? That is money being lost by SMEs.
Sure.
Party A comes to an SME for a service. They get very, very poor support. So they go back to an enterprise company, right? So up to a bigger company where they know they're going to get better kind of support services, which as you mentioned, led to about $47 billion in terms of losses only for SMEs. So us trying to bridge this gap, we feel like it's something that is really, really key to be able to grow these SMEs so that they do not lose as much as they're losing. That is one. Then two, also looking at Africa, for example, like Africa-wide, right? Kenya, we are only about 50 million plus, but Africa as a whole is about 1.3 billion people. So 1.3 billion people being served by SMEs. So what that means is there is actually need for more people, right? There's actually need for more companies to come up with solutions that can help bridge this particular gap, bridge this particular gap in communication, gap in customer support, the gap that is there in terms of the tools needed by these businesses to serve these 1.3 billion people. That for us is very key. And that for us is one of the things that we know we are supposed to bridge that gap to be able to just help businesses get to that next step.
Well said. And I want to give you the last word, Sophie, and I just want to pick your headline thoughts very quickly in respect to perhaps how we can bridge that 70% gap, because that's quite a significant number. What would be your input? How can we bridge that gap so that indeed we can have more of these enterprises and SMEs embracing the digital space or the digital platform?
It can be to create more awareness and give example of the few companies that are already embracing the CRM softwares. For example, us.
All right, and a good place to end it. You just wajishabikia. They should embrace your company. Okay, I have been speaking to Sophia Mohammed to my extreme left, who is a front-end software developer at Dial Africa. Right next to her is Bernard Murwa, who is a co-founder at Dial Africa. Of course, what has formed the center of our conversation is just like looking and providing solutions for SMEs in Africa. A good place to end this conversation, but Good Morning Kenya still continues after this break. Stay with us.
To the Second Chance TV game show.
Tough questions.
Virunga National Park is located within which mountain ranges? Aberdare. Aberdare? Is that your final answer?
Tough challenges.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's a survival for the smartest.
10 seconds to go. Who is the current president of Malawi?
Jakaya Kikwete.
Wrong answer. That is the wrong answer. Does it border to the east? Nakuru County. Nakuru County, you get 2,000 bob.
Premiering soon on Channel 1.
You're not authorized to enter the prince's palace.
I need to see the prince. Lady Lily is in labor. I need you to send the doctor now.
Your son didn't survive. Please spare me.
But he killed our baby.
What now? My king, it's not true.
Hear that? The baby's been born. She gave birth to a boy?
Yes, my lady.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. God damn your summer, you're no right.
And there is no bad mind unto good. They shall slowly fade away.
Under the pressure, yeah, under the pressure.
Nothing they can do to stop this music.
Pull up another party, yeah. I know watch nobody, yeah. Pull up another Rari, yeah. Bare feelings to my carry.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu. What did you just say?
Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that? Yeah.
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewi.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
Yani ina maana nchi ama mji ikiwa na amani, unakuta hata nchi zingine zinawadhamini, zinawafadhili sana, zinawaaminia.
Muislamu wa kisawasawa ni yule ambaye anadumisha amani, anaepukana na maneno ambayo yanaweza kupelekea kuvurugika kwa amani, na vitendo vyake pia huwa vinahusika na kuhifadhi amani.
All right, good morning and welcome back. Now let's talk about politics of the day. A lot has been happening in 254, and it's now that time that we need to get everything into perspective. And in studio, I have got two gentlemen, starting with Gilbert Awino, who is a budding lawyer, political analyst. He says that he's a jack of all trades. There you have him. Good morning, Gilbert.
Good morning, Victor.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
And Senior Counsel is ready. I don't know why you... Are you trying to intimidate us? Look at that. Yes. The regalia. There you have him. Eliud Ngugi, who is also an advocate of the High Court, is going to tell us more on what you should expect. Of course, a lot is happening at the Supreme Court today. The status conference is set to start their sitting at 11 a.m. and he has all the details and what we need to get to hear. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor. Now, gentlemen, let's start from where we should. Let's start from the by-elections, the mini-post, so to speak. Let me start with you, Gilbert. A lot happened over the weekend and yesterday, and now we can say that it's a done deal.
Precisely. It's a done deal, and it's just a matter of time before IEBC declares the official results. But for the first time, we are seeing that perhaps there could be credible information that has been passed on social media. I was just listening to a political commentator in the morning, and he had a live link with a reporter from Kakamega, and he indeed said that I have the official results, but I don't have the capacity to declare these results. And I can tell you that one of the candidates is ahead, but I can't tell you by how much. And pretty much it was the same in Mombasa, Kacheliba, and other places.
Yeah.
It looks like Azimio is going to have a better show, including Nakuru, except in Nakuru, where Raymond Moi has been shown the dust. But it was coming. If you talk to the people of Rongai, they were telling you that there were certain issues that they were not comfortable with, especially concerning utterances by Raymond Moi prior to the general election. So I think Azimio has a reason to, show us their bragging rights. But yeah, we'll see what it also portends in terms of...
Eliud, let me get your opening remarks.
I think this is just an interesting kind of an election, but at the same time, having postponed that election may have affected the outcome of these results.
Yes.
From what we are likely to see. We have seen that Azimio is leading in Mombasa and in Kakamega. And the fact that they are leading and maybe the people did not turn up, or the Kenya Kwanza people started rejoicing because they already got the president-elect.
Yes.
And that may have affected, and they forgot that they were also meant to go and vote for their governors, and in these other places they were meant to vote for their MPs. And so that would be my take.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That was so precise. All right. So let's talk about the issue of the numbers, because you've correctly put it, because from what the information we had from Juvenile Karisa, who is in Mombasa, Abdul Samad was leading 101,657 against Hassan Omar 88,361. Mombasa has a total of registered voters almost 800,000. That's a gap of 700,000 people did not turn up to vote, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, that's the real meaning of voter apathy. Gilbert.
Yeah, not just the voter apathy, but you see, general elections, people plan for it. People register in various stations, and they know that even employers would give you up to a week to go and take part, and just after the election there is usually a syncline of what's going on. But now people have voted, and others have gone back to their respective areas of work. So it might, that certainly has affected. And I think IEBC will not be allowed to get away with this in the subsequent elections, because for the first time we saw that they postponed elections in those two counties in addition to those constituencies. Because if you have 800 and you have about 160, 180 or 200, that's about less than 40% taking part in that election. I think really that is to intentionally or unintentionally subvert the will of the people. But something interesting, if you Kacheliba, which had a turnout of about 79%, and you'd wonder really then what is then the comparison between Mombasa and Kacheliba. So it looks like certain areas also there is just a general lethargy around politics. I heard that in Likoni it was very interesting. The voters came, but they didn't get to the polling station. So they wait for the candidate, nipatie pesa, niingie nipige kura. So if you don't show up, they go back. So it also tells you that the voter is also very interesting. Perhaps the mobilization that they had expected.
And we all know the ramification of having dishing out some tokens, so to speak, at the polling station. Gentlemen, let me just go through the headlines of local newspapers, which we've not done. Very quickly, let me go through the front page of the Standard here. Security chiefs fight off rigging claims. Head of public service, who chairs the national security organ, tells Apex Court that they were worried about tensions building in the country due to the delays in the announcing results and not the outcome when they approached IBC. Raila also says that Chebukati and Ruto have failed to counter allegations. That is what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And of course, the earlier results based on, as per yesterday, and of course, those numbers have gone up. Juvenile said that so far, 5 out of 6 constituencies tallied already. We are waiting for the next update. That is on the front page of the Standard. Quickly on the Star, Why petition is litmus test for 7 judges. Top security organ fight of Chebukati linked to poll doctoring demand. Why petition is litmus test for 7 judges. 4 IEBC bosses want court to nullify Ruto's declaration as president-elect. That is something that we also have a development about and we'll be discussing later on the front page of the Daily Nation. The buck stops here. Who? We have got 2 gentlemen, William Ruto on the right and Raila Odinga on the left, and the man in the middle is IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati. Will IEBC pass the independence test? That is the big question here. The Supreme Court will, for the next 5 days, starting today, be the theater of a political and legal showdown like no other, as a deeply fractured independent electoral and boundaries commission fights to save its credibility in the Ruto versus Raila election dispute. And whatever the judges decide will stand out. Wafula Chebukati had a war chest of more than 40 billion shillings to conduct a free, fair and credible election. And the very fate of the country was placed in his hands. Did he deliver? That is a big question. And finally, on the front page of the People Daily, CJ judges set petition rules. That is going to be happening today at the Status Conference. Supreme Court to pronounce itself on the key issues in Raila case ahead of pre-trial conference. That is what's the front page of the People Daily. Of course, the profiles of the 7 judges led by CJ Martha Koome. We have got Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, Smoking Wanjala, William Ouko, Ibrahim Mohammed, Njoki Ndunga, and finally Isaac Lenaola. These are the ladies and gentlemen who are going to decide on the case at the Supreme Court. All right, coming back in studio here, Ngugi, the issue of voter apathy. People went to Mombasa, they voted, but this number is somehow worrying, even to the candidate who is going to be declared winner, winning by a simple majority.
I believe the reason is people are not blind to the happenings of the day. We've been watching, we've been following what has been happening in the country. We have seen the allegations raised by the different parties, and especially the conversations alive between in the presidential race have basically and majorly affected the people on the ground, and therefore these people may have realized that maybe our elections are sham, that whatever vote that we carry out does not count for anything. And so they may have stepped back and decided, you know what, it doesn't make sense for us to actually show up for this election, this postponed election. So that may have been one of them. The other reason maybe that may have happened in these cases or in these places is that, one, we understand they are known to have a majority or to be leaning on a certain side. So for example, Mombasa is known to lean on the ODM side. And so if you already know that a certain candidate is likely to win, then most of the people may have refused to turn up because they knew that automatically this candidate is going to make it.
So in other words, it was rather obvious for the 2 counties that ODM was going to bag, and by largely Azimio.
Yes, it was obvious, and so the people may have stepped back. But also, the third reason I believe may have affected people is that Kenyans have already moved on. The election season is over for most of the people, and the postponement of the election may have affected these people, and that season is already over and they have moved on. The cost of living has gone up and people have gone back to their workplaces. Let me even reveal here to you that I'm a registered voter of Mvita. But then the public holiday, the public holiday was only declared in Mombasa, and therefore it meant that I could not leave my workplace here in Nairobi to go down to Mombasa, because that would have affected, because you see the effect of it. And therefore, probably the Minister for Interior should have actually declared a public holiday for everyone, because it affected. There are people who vote up country, there are people who are from Mombasa who live in Nairobi, in other parts of the country, and they may have been affected by the fact that the public holiday was not declared all over the country.
Yeah.
And therefore, they did not travel down. And the other reason is the cost of living. I may have considered maybe as a voter in Mombasa that it would have cost so much to travel down to Mombasa for just a day, and today is a normal working day. So that majorly may have affected that voter turnout.
Gilbert, I'm interested to hear your voice on that, because based on what Ngugi is saying, he's a classic example. A voter in Mvita, but because of just one day of off day and a holiday, he could not travel, and perhaps this number is worrying, and IBC perhaps should go back to the drawing board and ask themselves what went wrong.
Yes, certainly there is a proportion that contributes to what Wakili Ngugi is saying. But my belief certainly is the inevitable consequence of having just one mobilizer. I remember in the general election you have the MCA, you have the MP, you have woman representative, and in various parties. But you only have, let's say, 2 or 3 governors. So in terms of mobilization, now you're left with governor candidates going to the ground to ask people to vote. So if I'm not for you, then, or if perhaps I have no interest in any of the candidates, I will not vote. But if my MCA, for example, is in a particular station, then I'll go there to vote for him. But as I vote for him, I'm also given the ballot to cast for the other candidate. So since it's only the gubernatorial candidates remaining, the mobilization capacity, by the mere fact that the other elective positions have already been done with, obviously the capacity to mobilize as much has been diminished because it's left to the few. That, I think, is what greatly has affected, because most people reside in Mombasa compared to upcountry where most of us come to Nairobi and perhaps go back. Mombasa largely has permanent residents. There are a few like Ngugi here, perhaps may not, in my view, may not contribute to, let's say, 30%. Yes. If you go to a place, for example, Pale Likoni, most of those people are essentially like permanent residents. A good proportion, not absolute number. So for me, that is the only diminished mobilization capacity, because the other people have already moved on, as he says, because they have been elected. So they are not. I didn't see MPs on the ground as they were just before the general election.
Eliud, perhaps because can we say that IBC has somehow vindicated themselves from here? They've redeemed a bit of some bonga points based on what happened on 9th of August. Now people are in the Supreme Court, and we had by-elections yesterday, and so far, mini polls yesterday, and so far everything is looking so okay for them.
Well, when you're supposed to do your work and you do your work, it doesn't change, or it doesn't. We don't need to clap for you.
Yes.
And so IBC mandate is to basically conduct elections, and that is what they did yesterday. And seeing that the elections were conducted, and we are almost done with those mini elections that happened yesterday, the whole yesterday, I believe IBC has done what they should be doing, and maybe next time, maybe they have learned from what happened on 9th of August, and therefore they may have been able to actually conduct these elections. But we need not forget that these were just mini elections, and therefore, for example, in Mombasa, you are only voting for one candidate who is a governor of that place, and that's a simple task of just one
vote.
Like
a record of 2-3 minutes and you're out.
Yeah, 2 minutes and you are done. But on 9th of August, there were 6 candidates you needed to vote for, and this process was taking quite some time, and therefore this does not vindicate, in my view, does not vindicate IBC. They have a lot of work to do. They need to pull up their socks, and hopefully we are going to have an overhaul of the whole commission, whereby we are going to have new commissioners, come in, and maybe we also need to consider the way we conduct our elections, because I don't think we need to actually show up at the ballot paper, at the polling station to actually conduct an election. Yet, when we need to transact huge amounts of money, we actually do it from a mobile phone or from a computer. Why can't we conduct our elections electronically in this day and age, in 2022, whereby technology is here with us? Why can't IBC consider introducing such elections so that we actually simplify this whole process? And so,
of course,
until they do so,
Kenyans, we fear simplicity.
Until they do so,
yes,
and until we have faith in them, and we're able to know that if I cast my vote to count, and I can actually verify that vote, until they do that, then I don't think IBC is. We need to congratulate them or to clap for them.
All right, Gilbert.
They are not vindicated yet, or because the problem at the county levels, even now, there is no one who has filed an election petition challenging particularly the election of a certain governor. If there is, then perhaps I should be informed, but to the best of my recollection, that is not there. So it means elections at the county levels essentially went on as they should have been. The problem, what actually now must vindicate the IEBC is the fact that elections are done and then there is transmission. The problem arises from transmission of those results.
Yes.
At the county levels, they are done and they are announced. They don't need to transmit them anywhere. And you see, essentially, there is no noise. So the problem that IEBC perhaps might need to address is then, what is it with the transmission, and then what happens in between? And now, if that question is answered, then that is the vindication that perhaps we may ultimately have to, give us cause on. But as it is now, the Supreme Court will give us answers to the vindication.
Because even in 2017, the biggest issue was the transmission of the results.
Yes.
So, Wananchi, we simply go to the ballot, to the polling station, we do our bit, but then something happens in between the county tallying center and the national tallying center.
Yes, and I wonder, we are so mesmerized by technology to the extent that we are able to sell our souls just so that we continue to dance in this glory of technology.
Yeah.
But really, I think the simplicity of an election is essentially what has been declared there. I hold the view that really the transmission is the problem. If elections have been held in Mombasa, for example, and they have a constituency tallying center, IEBC just needs to get a live link from Mombasa. Guys, we're in Mombasa now. These are the results. Then everybody has seen they are recorded. That would make it easier, because it looks like money is in technology, because there is a gap between the older people think technology is such a good thing. The younger ones know it's a good thing, but they also know that this is a gold mine.
Yeah.
We can do anything. I mean, I can send an SMS to that screen, but what you actually see is not what I sent. So for me, I think...
And that is a big worry.
Yeah.
Ellie, the way you put it is like, yes, we want to embrace technology at this time and era, because that is exactly what IBC deployed in the last election and even yesterday. But the biggest issue is the transmission. I mean, from the allegations we hear, from the petitions and the submissions we hear in court, something happened in between. That brings the issue of trust. So at what point, now that you say that IBC has not redeemed himself from what we had yesterday at the mini posts in Mombasa and across other constituencies, so what next for the commission?
First of all, it's not just the transmission that this happens, but also even during voting. I was very sad to see some videos of voter intimidation at the polling station. Actually, at the polling station, whereby there was intimidation. Yesterday, I also saw some videos of already marked ballot papers, and so it's not just a matter of transmission, because we can transmit, yes, but what actually happens during that election? There's an issue to do with corruption. There's an issue to do with influence. There's an issue to do with so much that does not allow that simplicity of an election. And so it goes back to, can we trust IBC? can we trust the POs and the ROs in the different stations, or do we need to just change all this process and have machines whereby I can vote through a machine and I can trust that machine? Because when I send the maximum amount of money on mobile phone, and you send a maximum of 70,000 shillings, you're not in doubt that that money will not get there. And so I believe that maybe we need to relook this whole process. But what's next for the IEBC? I believe IEBC needs to, one, there's need to change the commissioners. There's need to actually have a different kind of a system whereby maybe these commissioners need not to be influenced, because we've seen from 9th of August that maybe there are some commissioners who are easily influenced. We've seen information in the public whereby some politicians have come out and said that they actually had meetings with the commissioners instead of allowing them to be what they are, independent electoral board commission. And so this need to actually allow this commission to be independent. And I don't know whether maybe this will need us to actually get a commission from outside this country, or have the people conducting the election to be located.
That we'll be talking about here all through.
Because we have seen that we cannot trust this commission. And so we may need to relook the whole process of voting, the whole process, the process of having a commission.
Okay, so now that we have these elections, what does it show generally? We have a big battle here at the Supreme Court. How does it, in a way, influence, if at all there is? Hold that, Gilbert.
How it influences the public perception.
Yes. And even the argument from the judges, from the different lawyers from different teams.
The public will have an opportunity, like they have had since 2013, to be acquainted to few legal jargons like amicus, jurisprudence. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he alluded to jurisprudence, and I was saying, where did you get that? He said, I had it in the Supreme Court. So I think we have an opportunity to be, legal minds in our small ways. But further than that, the Supreme Court has an opportunity to debunk the prosecution and the court of public opinion, and perhaps where we have seen how, including very senior lawyers prosecuting this cases on social media. We have seen also an attempt, for example, I would be looking at the petition that the Azimio filed in the Supreme Court, and the response that Chebukati gave, where he took a political tangent, but that essentially was not a question that he had been asked.
What about the court of public opinion?
But in the court of public opinion, depending on where you are, I've seen the Azimio side, perhaps you have seen they are quick to say the truth is going to be known. And if you look at also the Kenya Kwanza side, you have seen Chirchir is very active on social media, debunking even the logs that Githongo had sent, and Githongo said he did not. If you look at Githongo has said, no, I did not alter anything. We have also seen Dennis Itumbi also perhaps giving certain backgrounds. I've also heard actually and seen a clip and a counter clip. We have seen there was Tuju allegedly speaking,
of which we cannot authenticate where they came from. Someone can say that those things are manipulated.
So those are basically
here and tell us that can they be admitted?
No. In terms
it's a process of admitting.
Yes.
Okay.
But in terms of the public, basically have an opportunity to.
Yes, in the court of public opinion.
I was answering the question to the court of public opinion.
Yes.
So we have all manner of, perhaps I could call trash, but now the heart of the matter is with the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court.
They will be able to actually today they will crystallize the issues.
Yes.
And then proceed to.
Lokili is here and he's also ready for that big battle there, the Supreme Court. But before then, Doreen Arangi is standing by to give us what we should expect. Doreen, bit by bit.
Exactly, and I've just heard Gilbert talking about jurisprudence, jurisdiction. I mean, these are the terms that I can tell you for sure. Beginning today, 11 a.m., when the pre-trial will be taking place, these are the terms you're expecting to hear more often. But let's just set the ground a bit before we get to those terms. So now, election was concluded on the 9th of August, and as is, anyone who is aggrieved perhaps with how the election was conducted or the results, they had exactly 7 days to file that petition. And we saw the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party do exactly that on the 22nd of August. And again, as is within the law, those listed as respondents had exactly also 4 days to file their responses. We equally saw that with the IEBC as a commission. All the individual commissioners listed, as well as Dr. Ruto, equally filed their responses. On Sunday was that day for anyone who wanted to file the interlocutory application. And as we momentarily look at these terms, we shall equally be understanding what that exactly means. So that was on Sunday. Then yesterday was actually the day to release or make that ruling on basically those applications. So this is basically that ruling that is made before the case officially starts. And going by what the Chief Registrar, Anne Amadi, yesterday said in the afternoon is that they'll be delivering that ruling on an online platform. So that was to take place yesterday. And also she said that by today, 11 a.m., before the pre-trial commences, they'll have been done when it comes to delivering the ruling. So then that makes today being that day for the pre-trial. So basically the pre-trial is just setting the ground rules, the basics. Who's going to speak at what time is allocated for which party, how many lawyers, just basically laying the ground rules of how the case will proceed. But that is also equally amongst the terms that we shall be looking to understand, because throughout this entire process, up until the 5th of September, these are the terms that you will be interacting with mostly. The supreme battle. So I just want to quickly look at those terms, just again for you as a Kenyan to understand. Anytime you hear these terms, at least you understand what exactly they mean, at what point each of these terms will be applied. So basically, just when we talk about the Supreme Court, the terms that will be used throughout this entire petition, as I've mentioned, up until the 5th of September, because that's then, the time frame or the timeline in which they're supposed to actually deliver that final verdict or the judgment. And again, going by our constitution, the verdict given then is final, because you cannot appeal the verdict of the Supreme Court. That is final. So key among those terms include affidavit. And I'm so sure that by now you've had oftentimes lawyers talking about affidavits, either of the parties or sides talking about affidavits. So this is just basically a statement put in writing that claims the information within the document is actually true and correct to the best knowledge of the person who's drafted this. And this has equally been used by both camps, or by both teams, so to speak. Those that are filing as petitioners, those that are filing as respondents, as interested parties, as amicus curiae, all of these different parties have equally filed an affidavit in respect to the side in which they're standing on when it comes to this particular petition. The other term that you're equally likely to interact with is the petitioner, which is actually, if I can say, a very popular term, because then this is where the Azimio faction falls, the person or party to whom brings a legal case to the court. So this is basically also the person who has been aggrieved, or the person who seeks justice on a particular matter or on a particular case. Going by our context, we are now seeing the Azimio party seeking to just understand, or basically see how the elections were conducted, because according to them it was not conducted in a free and fair manner. So their case is just aligned towards possibly either annulling the elections, because then according to them there was some form of unfairness exercised in the conduct of this election. So this is equally one of those terms that you really be hearing oftentimes coming from the Supreme Court. That is the petitioner. The other term is respondent. So the respondent is basically one to whom the petition is directed. This is also equally, one to whom, or basically the one who has in one way or the other violated the law. This one is more or less like a defense. And again, going back to our context, you've seen, if you've had a chance to interact with the petition filed by the Azimio One Kenya Coalition Party, they have listed the IEBC as respondents, all the individual IEBC commissioners as respondents, as well as Dr. Ruto as a respondent. And this is again why I said earlier on, we saw them file their responses exactly 4 days after, the petition was filed. So these are basically, the person whom is going to perhaps bring that defense, either defending themselves or the one to whom the petitioner is actually saying that in one way or the other, they violated the law. And again, going back to our context, we've seen so oftentimes Azimio saying that IEBC violated the law. How? The way in which the election was conducted. So that is the respondent. Again, equally one of those terms that you will be hearing oftentimes, in this particular petition. Then the interested party. So this is basically one who is not directly linked to the case, but could be named as an interested party by the petitioner, or could equally file to be an interested party. So basically their role could be in one way or another. Perhaps they have information that could aid or help the courts in coming up with the judgment at the end of the day. So these persons are termed as interested parties, and actually they could also opt out in what is called that interlocutory application, which actually, the filings ended on Sunday. So these are basically the interested parties. They are not in one way or the other directly linked to the case, but they could be having a possible information that could aid the court to, make the judgment in one way or the other. The other term that has, and I'm so sure since 2013, you've had this term, oftenly when we had that third petition filed by the then court, that is the amicus curiae, or the friends of the court. So these ones as well, they are not also equally directly linked to the case in one way or the other, but then again, their skill, their expertise is what could be used equally in making the judgment in one way or the other. So again, just going by the example that we have, if you again also have had the chance to interact with the Okia Omtata petition, you have seen he has really used a lot of statistics, mathematics, trying to understand where the 6.56 was coming from, or is it the 64.6 in terms of voter turnout, also trying to understand where the 0.01% was coming in from. So this is basically whereby the amicus curiae comes in. So basically those that really have the knowledge either of mathematics or statistics coming in to make their input, which again could equally aid the court in making the judgment, in one way or the other. So equally these ones, they are not directly linked to the case, but their skill, expertise, prowess could be used in determination of the case. So those ones are the ones that are referred to as the friends of the court, or the amicus curiae. And then finally the pre-trial, which is also what we've talked about, basically what will be happening today, as from 11 a.m., setting the basic ground rules, how the hearings will be ongoing, how many, lawyers each team will be allocated. Remember that we've also seen the battery of lawyers that each camps have floated, having Azimio a total of 42, Kenya Kwanza slightly above 50, but also going by what the chief registrar mentioned yesterday is that they are only going to allow 4 lawyers. However, that is still subject to more conversation. But then again, this is also where, all this will be laid. Who will be allocated what amount of time at what point? So this is basically what will be happening in the pre-trial hearing there. Equally, there's also one last term I want us to equally look at, which is the cross petition. Not quite here, but again, it's also a term that has been used, over time. What basically is a cross petition? So this is a petition within a petition filed by a respondent. Why I'm bringing that term is simply because when Moses Kuria filed his petition, it was oftentimes referred to as a cross petition, but that is not a cross petition, simply because Moses Kuria was not named as a respondent. So the only time you file a petition and it's considered a cross petition is if the petitioner has named you as a respondent. So in this case, that simply means it is that petition within a petition, but specifically by a respondent, then that qualifies it to be a cross petition. So going by Moses Kuria's petition, which is actually the 9th petition, that becomes a stand-alone petition. So again, there's so many terms that we'll be, just continue to dissect for you, making sense of these terms as we go on with this particular petition up until the final verdict is made by the apex court.
Right. Thank you, Doreen. Amicus, friend of KBC. Thank you so much. Those are some of the terminologies that we'll be hearing at the Supreme Court for the next few days. Of course, Kenyans will be quite creative about those ones, the terminologies. We had already someone being called opaque. Already that's a name. All right, thank you, Doreen, for that. All right, let's cross over to Mombasa and talk to Wandiga to give us an update on what is happening down there at the coastal city of Mombasa. Wandiga, good morning. What else can you tell us from the coastal town? We know that so far vote tallying is still in process, but what are the figures from Mombasa? Wandiga.
Well, a very good morning to you, Victor. Of course, we're coming to you live from Mombasa. This is the Mombasa County Tallying Center. And at the moment, just a while ago, Mombasa County, that's the returning officer, Swalha Yusuf, had announced the results from Kisauni constituency. And Kisauni constituency is one of the 6 constituencies in Mombasa County. Mombasa County has a total of 641,913 registered voters. And for Kisauni constituency, it had registered voters of a number of 135,276, and so far valid votes were 43,000, and they go as follows. Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir of ODM leading with 21,796. We have Hassan Sarai of UDA with 20,750. Then we have Hezron Awiti Bolo of VDP with 170, and we have William Kingi of PAR with 241 votes, and we have Said Omar Abdallah with 67 votes. We also have results from other constituencies, but they're yet to be announced by the returning officer, but it will be of pleasure if I get to let you know what is happening. And from Nyali constituency has the registered voters which are 124,242, and so far the numbers are as follows. Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir of ODM has 22,387. Hassan Omar of UDA 21,508. William King, who is the outgoing deputy governor in Mombasa County with 186. Daniel Munga 59 votes. Said Abdallah 64 votes. And we go ahead to that is Jomvu constituency. Jomvu constituency has registered voters which are 75,085, and the numbers as follows. ODM Abdul Somad has 15,629. UDA Hassan Omar 11,038. Hezron Awiti 127. William Kingi 91. Shafi Makazi 58. Said Abdallah 56 votes, and Daniel Kisao 40 votes. We go ahead to Changame constituency, among the constituencies in Mombasa County, with registered voters of 93,561. Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir of ODM has 17,740. Hassan Omar of UDA has 15,898. Hezron Awiti Bolo of VDP has 105. We have William Kingi 63, Shafi Makazi 74, Daniel Kisao with 21, and then we have that of Mvita constituency, which I had come to yesterday night here at Mvita, and Mvita constituency has registered Mvita constituency. It is as follows. Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir Ghana 24,106. Hassan Omar of UDM has 19,086. Hezron Awiti Bol of VDP 102. Daniel Munga Kisao, independent candidate, had 61 votes, and Shafi Makazi Mwaganda, also independent, had 82 votes. So far, this is what we have from the 5 constituencies in Mombasa County. We are yet to get the results from Likoni constituency, used just across the Likoni channel. So far that's what we have for now, but if my cameraman could show you across, so far security has been hinting, security officers are here with us, and from the farthest end there we have returning officers from other constituencies. We are just bringing in their tally so that the returning officer from the county tallying center will have to announce them after several verification. So far others are just observers who are also giving a keen eye on what is happening on Mombasa gubernatorial elections. So far election was done by yesterday, voting process rather was done by yesterday, and so far what we're waiting here is just results from the returning officers just to be after verification to be declared by the county returning officer. But so far a lot of calmness has been experienced here in Mombasa County all through the elections, and yesterday night as tallying was going on in tallying centers at constituency level. So far we are waiting for others from other constituency level to be brought here at the county tallying center so as the returning officer after verification will have to announce, and after that we'll be waiting for the final word, which is giving us the winner of Mombasa gubernatorial elections. So as Mombasa electorates will have to know the incoming governor or the second governor in Mombasa County. Remember that Hassan Ali Joho had just completed his term of 2 terms as allowed by the constitution rather. So we are waiting for that final word from the returning officer. Olo.
Right. Modiga, in just under 1 minute, do you have the final figures from the 5 constituencies in under 1 minute?
No, we are yet to get that.
All right, thank you.
But in a while, I'll be taking that into account and going back to you.
Okay, Modiga, thank you so much. Please work on that and they'll get back to you so that you can give us the final figures at the county tallying center. Modiga there from Mombasa County, give us an update on what we should expect. Director? All right, so let's cross over and talk to Hamisi Mboga, who is a governance expert based in Mombasa, to give us general feeling of what is happening down there. Hamisi Mboga, good morning, good to see you, mzee wangu. The only polling station remaining constituency is Likoni. Why? It's just across the channel.
Good morning to you, my dear brother. All is well in Mombasa. The voting was smooth yesterday, and the counting of the votes is going on right now. We voted very early in the morning, but the lines were short compared to the other time that we went to vote for the general elections.
Okay. And Mombasa has largely given a very low voter turnout. Hamisi, from a spectator's point of view, what do you say about this?
Yeah, the voting was very low compared to what we know in Mombasa. And I think this is the characteristics of these by-elections. You saw the one in Kwale, and we see everywhere when you have a by-election, most of the people don't come back to vote. The percentage was quite low compared to what we should have had in Mombasa. But the voting was so smooth. People were just voting, and there was no rush yesterday. In the morning, we almost thought that people are not there. And then they started coming slowly. By midday, I think the build-up was there. But then people were voting very, very, very quietly. There was no harassment of anybody. The security, Mombasa, we had security yesterday I've never seen before for many years. And therefore, everybody was secure. You could go there and vote, and then you go home. So some of the key stakeholders were not moving away from the station for a long time, but I think later they realized everything is smooth and the agents were there. We were happy to see agents from supporters from every corner of the country. We could see people from Garissa, we could see people from Central, we could see people from even as far as Machakos coming to witness with us while we were voting. So there was that moral support of all the teams, and the voting was okay. One or two things were happening. We heard about these people are trying to bribe us, but we never saw it. I can't be certain that people were bribed yesterday, but they voted very, very nicely and slowly. We are waiting right now anxiously for the results. What we saw is the competition is between two people, two candidates, the Azimio candidate and the UDA candidate. These others, we couldn't see a wave about them. So we believe the results will also show it like that. Yes, Victor.
And of course, Mombasa has a very big interest, and just like any other part of the country, the reason as to why the election was postponed in that particular country was, given the obvious reasons given by IBC. But what did you say about the voter turnout and how this really affected? And do you think IEBC has gotten it right, or even for the future?
My perception, this is my perception. On the 9th, the IBC was very late in most of the stations. It discouraged people. For example, I was there by 6:30 and I voted by 10. So people were discouraged by the experience of the 9th of August. I think yesterday some people were still waiting to be told, now you can go and vote, there's no queue. Because of the heat in Mombasa, people are really afraid. They don't want to stay on the queue for a long time. So I think there was an improvement yesterday by IBC in terms of preparedness, because I was there 6:45, they were already there. People were voting. So I think it was an improvement on that side. And also the speed of voting and in and out, it was excellent yesterday. So we are clear. I think the process of voting is okay, but now we're looking at the process of tallying and announcing. People are anxious. We are really waiting. Who is the governor of Mombasa, and who will be the person following that governor? The beauty about Mombasa is all our children. So whoever wins, we shall flow with them. I think that is what is here in Mombasa.
So, what really awaits the next governor of Mombasa?
Hello?
We've seen governors already getting down to work. In your perception, on your own opinion, what do you really think is in store for the next governor?
The voice is Victor. If you can speak a bit louder.
All right. I'm saying, what is in store for the next governor of Mombasa County in terms of governance and service delivery?
Oh, quite a lot. My perception as a governance expert, there's so much work that is pending that has to be done. The human resource aspect must be relooked at. Services must be revisited. I wish we had like the program of Nairobi, somebody from national government to come and help us for a month or so that the new governor picks up from kind of improved services. But yes, services have to be relooked at. The concept of working conditions, because sometimes the people who are complaining they were not being paid on time. That is one of the issues that will come. And the other one is the really policies on transport. I think this must be looked at again so that we smoothen the movement of Mombasa in and out. The new roads from national government have really helped, but the mechanism of managing the traffic in and out and the cleanness generally in the town and also in the market would really be valuable for the new governor. Victor.
You see, years past, there was some calls by some residents that they wanted Mombasa. You remember the secession debate? Has that changed? And if yes, what has contributed to it?
Come again. I'm losing your voice, Victor.
Okay. You remember the secession debate which was there during Kibaki's regime? That somehow fizzled out. What are the contributors?
In terms of?
Okay, it seems that we are not getting Hamisi Boga clearly.
I can hear, but not completely.
All right. You remember the secession debate in Mombasa? That debate fizzled out. Why?
I don't know the new environment, the new things are, because politics in Mombasa is already being affected and influenced by national politics. And therefore, what is happening nationally would really happen here locally. Mombasa being one of Azimio stronghold, we were expecting fireworks to come out for those who are going to bring any other candidates. For example, the current debate is it UDA zone or is it Azimio zone? Because if it's UDA, then it's a new thing. They have taken over. If we get Azimio win, we say, oh, it is still Azimio zone and Baba zone. You know, we have those kind of terminologies in Mombasa.
Okay, let's talk about the larger coastal region. We have the reintroduction of parties like PAA by Amason Kingi, and of course, he managed to get a number of legislators from the coastal region. What is the future of democracy and infiltration of different parties in the coastal region?
In Mombasa, those of us who come from here have quite a number of major issues. One is land. The other one, again, is democratic space for the people of Mombasa. And in terms of the land, these issues must be looked at by both the national and also the county government, so that the city is planned properly and provides people with titles for their land, but also managing those titles so that everybody is happy. In terms of governance, people are now looking at not one, we are like a metropolitan, we are like Nairobi. We don't have one community dominating. So if you want to do any politics in Mombasa, you do it like a national platform. You can't say we are from the coast. Who is from the coast? The Kambas have been here from 1968. The Kikuyus have been here with a lot of businesses. We have been here generations. So, and we have intermarried. It's a total mixture, which is to me a nice boiling pot. So if you want to speak about politics, it's not like in the other parts of the country where you talk to your own community. Here you have to talk to everybody. And that is a platform that must be used for any governance structure. So we're looking at even the employment. How are they structured? Are we capturing everybody who is living here?
Yeah.
But I'm happy about even the candidates. If you look at the candidates, they're coming from different communities and they feel like they can stand here. So I'm happy about that concept, but we want to see practically involvement of the people, stakeholder involvment and participation. I've not seen it fully done. I think this should be done so that everybody's views can be captured. And then security is another issue that must be considered because it has been a hotbed for security reasons. And then if you don't do the security, then tourism will be affected. Everybody talks about employment. You can't talk about Mombasa without touching the port. The port politics must come in. So yes, these are the issues that the governance that will take over from maybe this afternoon when people are, when the IBC pronounces itself, then there is a plate full for the governors who is going to be elected.
All right. Hamisi, in under 30 seconds, if you may, we have got the new governor, the female governor, Fatuma Chani.
Yes.
That really sent a message to the coastal women folk who are ready to take mantle of leadership in that region.
Yes, this is a good indication that the possibilities are there for the ladies and women in the coast province to take politics seriously And I think Governor Chania has really shown the way. And I can see even in Kilifi, you see those people who are trying to come, the members of parliament, those who are trying to be governors. I think this is the way, so that the playing field is level. We don't say this is a woman, this is a man. We're saying this is a candidate. I think we're going towards that. It will take a long time, but I think the indications are it can be done. Yeah. And I'm happy about those people who came before the current ladies. People, Wangari Maathai, Martha Karua, Governor Ngilu, I think they have shown, and the other ladies, they have shown that it can be done. You can see the governor in Nyanza. I think the 7 governors will promote the ladies to be able to be in the forefront and play like other people. So I think this new wave is good, and it must be emulated and encouraged.
All right. Hamisi, thank you so much. I have got two gentlemen in studio. I have got Gilbert Awino and Eliud Ngugi. They said that Nini Mazuri yuko Mombasa so that we can disappear and look for you. What do you have? What do you have for us in store, Hamisi? Hamisi, you've disappeared.
Yeah. Victor.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Hamisi. We'll get back to you later on, but thank you so much for your insight, and of course we hope for the best in the next coming years as we look forward to proper governance of Mombasa County. All right, let's take a break at this particular point. When we come back, we still have got Eliud Ngugi and Gilbert Awino in studio. We still have got much more in store for you. Stay tuned.
There. Good boys gone bad. Eric Omondi has evolved from being a comedian to now being the king clout chaser.
How does a gospel artist make money?
Jaguar wet again.
As a celeb, as a followers, but it's a time for artists to make bank.
Yes. How is your relationship with Zari, considering that she dates young? These are accessories.
They get out,
slap the guy.
Yo, what's up? My name is Ted Josiah.
Mashallah.
You sing about serious issues, it will not trend. If you sing about Adhiambo C.
No.
Bahati hata kuwa na machozi. Willy Paul ndio alikuwa anatoa machozi.
For your beat these boys with stones. Let's all be logic. Yesu washukangi chini analeta pesa.
Musicians are missing the point.
Do we sip water?
You are watching Pop Culture with Adhiambo with a Y.
You're not authorized to enter the prince's palace. I need to see the prince. Lady Lily is in labor. I need you to send the doctor now.
Your son didn't survive. Please spare me.
But he killed our baby.
What now? My king, it's not true.
Hear that? The baby's been born. She gave birth to a boy?
Yes, my lady.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. God damn you, summer, you're no right.
Dirty and you wash with soap, and there is no bad mind unto good. They shall slowly fade away.
Under the pressure, yeah, under the pressure, It's
got to make it you to stop this abuse.
Nobody, yeah. Pull up another Rari, yeah. Bare feelings that I carry.
welcome back. Now we're still having our discussion here in studio. Let's take a look at what is happening at the Supreme Court today. Of course, the pre-trial conference will be at 11 as per the guidelines, and of course we just need to understand more on that. Very quickly, part of the ruling that, Wakili, you have the petitions and which was sent by 1 a.m.
Yes. They sent us some rulings for some of the applications which were filed yesterday and on Sunday. So they actually responded to them by 1 a.m. today. I'm looking at my email and there's so much that has gone on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And behind the scenes, we're just talking about the preparedness by the Supreme Court to handle these cases. Gilbert.
Yeah.
This is the first time that the CJ, Martha Koome, is handling such a situation.
Yeah.
And perhaps we can easily tell that she's completely ready for the battle.
Yes, and I think they have been prepared for this for a while. I remember William Ruto during the presidential debate, he was asked, are you going to accept the results of the presidential election? He said, if the Supreme Court will declare that we lost fairly, that in effect, perhaps as a strong candidate, was reason enough for them to start putting their acts together, because people are coming to court. But I think COVID has also helped them respond to some of these things. For example, in 2017, 2013, all the applications that had been made, they call them interlocutory applications, which required their ruling. They had to get into the hall itself and make their pronouncements. But now, as people woke up in the morning, they had already sent their rulings on those issues as early as 1 a.m. So by 6, everybody had already, those who cared, to look at. That, I think, is good, because it doesn't waste the court's time on issues that are not necessary. Now, today, when they sit, perhaps they would just have the housekeeping things that require a consensus.
Yes.
Then tomorrow they begin the hearing of the case. So I think it's a good thing. Factors that have contributed to that are a mix of all those that I have spoken about. Yeah.
Wakili, this is a time that most lawyers don't really love their jobs. A lot of work.
It's also time to actually contribute to what we had said earlier, jurisprudence of this country, which is basically you are contributing to something that the next generations are going to refer to.
Yeah.
And so we've seen the 2017 Supreme Court decision being referred to by even other international courts, because it actually informs on how you can overturn an election, or what can lead to overturning an election. And so for lawyers, it's a very exciting moment. It's a very fun time to actually be present and to actually participate in this process, because you get to change the direction of this country. You get to contribute to the rules of this country, to the laws of this country. So it's a very important time. Yes.
There was an application by the commissioners to appear as respondents. What does the law say? Can they appear as individual respondents or as a commission of IBC?
According to the Elections Act and also the Constitution, the definition of a commission is basically what is made up to carry out an election. It's a body. And therefore it is taken that a commission is the full body, not an individual. So you cannot sideline, and only the chairperson is actually given a special mandate to carry out the verification and the declaration of the presidential election. And so apart from that, the rest of the individuals who are members of the commission are not supposed to. But I've actually been able to go through the ruling by the Supreme Court on whether it was right, because there was an application to strike out the four commissioners. Yes. And they have said, due to the fact that there's information in the public and they have been named and they have also responded by filing affidavits and responded to some of those allegations that were raised by the petitioners, then it is only right to allow them to be heard. And that's why they have been allowed into this proceeding that starts today.
Yeah. Of course, based on that, I think there's also a bit of some housekeeping. And you also said correctly, and Gilbert, you'll also come in at this particular point, that the court actually restricted the number of counsel that will appear in the court because of the COVID-19 situation and just the measures. And of course, they've laid out some issues here. One, the number of counsel that will appear for Honorable Raila Odinga and Martha Karua are 4. Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, 4 counsel. All right. We also have William Samoei Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua will have 4 lawyers. Then Wafula Chebukati 1, Juliana Cherera 1, Justus Nyang'aya 1, Francis Wanderi 1, Irene Masit 1, John Njoroge Kamau 2, Peter Kirika and Youth Advocacy Africa 2, Kelef Khalifa, George Osewe, Ruth Mumbi, Grace Kamau will have 2 lawyers, and David Kariuki Ngare 2, Okia Omtata Okoiti, Nyakina Wycliffe Gisebe, Victor Okuna, John Maina will have 2 lawyers. Julia Nyukabi Chege 2, Julia Nyukabi, Joseph Mutua Ndonga, and Simon Mwaura Njenga will have 2 lawyers. And then LSK, who is now amicus curiae, will have 1. Law Society of Kenya President will have 1. Senior Bar Council 1. Attorney General 1. ICJ Kenya amicus curiae again will have 1. And finally, John Walubengo, Dr. Joseph Savila, Martin Mirero, amicus curiae will also have 1 lawyer. Based on this, do you really think that limiting the number of lawyers appearing for different respondents and even the petitioners here, what does it really tell? Gilbert?
I think they have learned from 2013, 2017, and all the other cases that the Supreme Court has had. Remember, Supreme Court, the primary responsibility of the Supreme Court is to listen to the presidential petition as a court of the first instance. And therefore, this is the major case that this court has had since we enacted the 2010 Constitution. Now, if you look at, initially, they had not given a direction as to whether we'll have everybody all. You remember there were allegations that IEBC had 26 legal institutions, I mean law firms, yes, in addition to other legal practitioners, and Ruto had about 54. So it was going to be a show of might,
almost 200.
Yeah, so attempting to take away the purpose for which the Supreme Court is sitting. I think they have crystallized onto the issues. Give us your best 4. Those are the ones we are going to deal with. Give us your best 4. And you can see that the main petitioners and the main respondents have been given equal number. Azimio has 4, William Ruto has 4, IEBC 4, and then you have individual 111 as such. And so the fact that they have given that particular number, that gives a direction as to the kind of order that the Supreme Court expects from this, so that they are not taken away from the key issues that are presented before them. Quick to mention is that one of the applications that had been put before them, as Wakili has said, from the side of William Ruto, they did not want LSK to be allowed to be part of this. They did not want individual commissioners from IEBC to be represented individually, but that was also struck out. So I think the Commission, the Supreme Court, is actually geared towards getting the crystal clear of the matter before, because they have very limited time to make a determination. By Monday next week, they should be giving us their verdict.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wakili, at this particular point, one would argue that with the number of housekeeping, already we have got the number of lawyers representing different sides, we can easily predict that the courts will beat the Monday deadline.
That's expected. You see, it's a constitutional requirement that a decision has to be made within 14 days of filing the petition. And so it's a constitutional issue. The Supreme Court cannot go beyond the timeline set by the Constitution. And therefore, they have to try all they can. And I believe that's why they have set out the rules to make sure that public councils do not appear in huge numbers and they all want to speak, and therefore dragging the whole process. What they have done is they have limited this number to make sure that if only one council is speaking on behalf of a party, then they can only utilize the time, because today is pre-trial, and what happens in pre-trial is actually you are allocated. You are asked how many hours do you think you need to do your presentation, and in the process of doing so, then they are going to allocate the minutes and the hours. There will be a timekeeper in court who is actually going to make sure that you do not exceed the time given to you. Sometimes you've seen in the previous proceedings in the Supreme Court whereby some of the councils donate even their time, and they say, that's all I have to say, I wish to donate my 2 minutes to my friend. And so they give the 2 minutes, they donate the time. And so the process is to make sure that they also have enough time after we call it retire. Once the judges retire to write down, and they normally take a retreat and they go out, they want to make sure that once probably the hearing starts tomorrow for the next 3 days, and after those 3 days, then they have a sufficient time, probably 3 days, to also sit down together with their secretaries, together with their assistants, to actually come up with a comprehensive judgment. And we saw in 2017, the judgment was around 500 pages.
Yes.
So for them to be able to do so, they have to make sure that the pre-trial, they allocate enough time to make sure that they also allocate themselves enough time to be able to go out and do a very comprehensive, informative decision at the end of the day. Yeah.
For the benefit of that person watching the show, and they would want to understand what is pre-trial. For people, the case will begin today, and they'll be watching. We want to see who is going to be battling who and submitting this and that. So basically, what is pre-trial?
Pre-trial is basically, like the word suggests, is what you prepare before trial. And therefore, pre-trial in most of the cases is whereby you have the rules of the game being shared and discussed. And so today what will be happening is, of course, some of the parties who had filed applications are not happy because some of these applications where maybe they wanted to be joined as interested parties, to be brought in as people who also have a stake in this case, they will need to voice out and express their dissatisfaction, and the court is going to consider whether maybe they need to relook at that. Secondly, there will be an issue to do with now the setting of the time and the timelines, whereby you are told that tomorrow being the beginning of the hearing, we are going to allocate 6 hours to the petitioner, and once the petitioner finalizes doing his presentation, there is a right to respond. So the respondent, who are quite a number, will come in and respond. We remember the respondent are IEBC, the chairman himself, the 4 commissioners. All these people have to come back and respond to these cases. Then we need to also know that there are several petitions which have been filed.
Yes.
We have Okiya Mtata, who has filed a petition. We have Honorable Raila Odinga, who has filed a petition. We have these other petitions which have been filed by some organizations. We have all these petitions which we need to know, do we consider them together? Because what are the issues?
Yes.
So one of the major issues that will come up today is that they may consider consolidating all these petitions, then there will be the sharing of the issues. What do we need to give a decision on? So they will say whether the election was properly conducted, whether the two candidates met the 50+1, and so these are the issues to be discussed. So this is what will be happening today in the pre-trial, consolidating, giving the timelines, and then making sure that we have a way forward on how to carry out the rest of the petitions.
So basically,
yes.
Leo ni kusikizana
yes,
in layman's language. Leo ni kusikizana, then the case begins tomorrow.
Yeah, and Victor, the other issue that is coming out, and I think we must give it to the judiciary, particularly the bench, because we have seen. I think I'm quite impressed by the administrative capacity that the Supreme Bench is also, cognizant of. They seem to be taking this really away from their main job, which is listening to this petition. They have indicated that COVID is the reason why they are not allowing people in court, but the BBI's petition went before them, and we didn't see this kind of restriction. So I think they are alive to perhaps what is the administrative advantage, perhaps, or interest that we need to put into consideration to allow just those numbers that he has given. And also, the other thing that I am also thinking of, in 2017, it wasn't a full bench. One of them apparently had a graduation abroad and did not sit. But for the first time, whether that was indeed the fact, perhaps I may not confirm or deny. But this time round, we are finding that all the 7
it's a full bench.
Have availed themselves. So it tells you also the level of interest that perhaps they have given to this matter amongst themselves, besides the public, which I think gives confidence, because when it's a full house, then it shows everybody is interested in that matter.
When you look at CJ Martha Koome, Philomena Mwilu handled a case in 2017. We have Smoking Wanjala was
2013.
Exactly, 2013. We have got Njoki Ndungu, who is not new to petitions, presidential petitions. Isaac Lenaola as well. Perhaps the only person we can talk about is William Ouko, who came to the bar at Supreme Court last year, 2021, and now handling this for the first time. Perhaps you can say that it's a full bench of experienced Supreme Court judges who are actually waiting to listen again to the same song and so that happened in 2013, 2017 and 2022. Is it right to say, Eliud, that they will be using 2013, 2017 as reference to make a decision of 2022?
It is very true, because our courts follow what we call precedent. And this precedent is what we use to say that we refer to other decisions which have been made by the same court.
The normal minor kiai, the minor kiai, and the Kriegler report and all that.
We just use decisions made by a court of the same status. So, for example, in Kenya, Supreme Court is the highest court, and so whatever conduct and decision they make would actually be in reference to other cases which have happened in that court. And it is not new to us that we have had only 2 other petitions in this, 3 other petitions in this Supreme Court. And so they will be making reference to those judgments, but also they will also be looking outward to other countries whereby similar decisions, presidential petitions, have been filed. So they may go back to a very well-known country like India, whereby their jurisprudence is very well-known. India has had a very active court, and so they will go back to the Indian court, they will go back to the American court, because we have also had the Supreme Court make decisions on presidential matters. And so not just the Supreme Court cases of 2013 and the 2 cases in 2017, but also they will also go to our neighbors and to other international setups to actually consider those decisions when making their major decision today.
And as they do that, the other thing worth noting is that for the first time we are having a bench that has career advocates. The last time Ojuang was a scholar from the university. So perhaps, and even in 2013, we had Mutunga, who was also from the human rights, a scholar by excellence.
Yes.
But this time round, we have traditional judicial officers who have risen right from.
And that raised an issue, the issue of William Mutunga, who was, people would argue that was coming from the civil society, now coming to the bar, and all that.
There will always be something people say. Every decision you make has its pros and cons. I think there is what Mutunga did that others were unable to do. For example, as an external person, he was able to do things differently. But of course, the majority, if you subject that to a democratic process, perhaps he may have acted the majority. But I wanted to add, as the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land, and the decisions that they uphold must bind the lower courts. However, in this petition, they can come up with new judgments that perhaps could then form the basis of reference in the lower court. So they are not bound by, we as a Supreme Court have made this, so we have to stick with them, because there are also new facts that have arisen. So they may perhaps also set new precedents for reference in other countries and the lower courts. And also you have seen Kenya is an interesting country. For the first time, we usually have observers coming for election, but now we have observers who have come to observe a petition.
Exactly. We even have former Chief Justice of Tanzania also really coming to. Okay. Allow me to take a break. I'm not just cutting you short, but I'll come back to you and cross over to Simon Achola, who is in Kakamega County, to give us an update. Simon Achola, what is the latest from the Ingo land? Cleophas Malala or Fernandez Baraza?
Not yet time to call that. Of course, the results have already trickled in to the respective teams, and of course they already know the results. But here we will be waiting for the final announcement from IEBC. And as I speak to you right now, they have already collected results from about 7 constituencies across this county of Kakamega. And what remains is 5 results from 5 constituencies, that is of Butere, Wisero, Malaba, Mumias West, and of course Likuyani. Once those results have actually been collected, have actually been tallied at the respective polling stations or constituency tallying centers, and then brought here at the county tallying center, then we can actually call it. What I can actually tell you is that there are pockets of fans who've actually been celebrating since yesterday evening. As I've told you, of course, we already know for a fact that most of these candidates had their own tallying center, and they already have the results. So their fans started celebrating yesterday evening, and of course you can read the mode where this election will be going. However, we will keep it here, so then we actually give you the final results that will be coming from IEBC. Of course, you also want to know exactly what is happening as pertains Cleophas Malala, the ANC candidate who was actually vying for the gubernatorial seat here. Remember, yesterday suspected DCI officers actually raided his home late in the evening, and it was suspected that probably he was going to be arrested yesterday evening before the officers were actually repulsed by his supporters. As we speak right now, we yet to get very clear information of exactly what transpired thereafter. He's been holed up in his house. He remains there, and of course we'll be keeping a keen eye on exactly what will be happening there, and then of course we'll be in a position to actually give our viewers and listeners of exactly what will follow subsequently. But I also want to put it to you, Victor, is the fact that we've been told that probably around midday or thereabout we'll be in a position to actually get all the collected results here at Kakamega County tallying center, and then of course we are likely to know the winner around about that time.
All right, Simon, a quick one. Since yesterday, we've seen several, information on social media. Simon, if you can hear me now, just to get it right, we've seen a lot of information there on social media on who is winning, who is not winning in one particular constituency or not. What is the situation like? Could you please just clarify for the benefit of even me here, now that you're on the ground?
Yes, as I began this conversation, I said, of course, teams already know what the outcome of these results will be, because the results are already started streaming in yesterday, and most of the teams have actually collected the results and actually have the final results. However, we will keep it here so that then we actually get the final results from IEBC. Officials will actually be announcing at around midday or thereabout. That is according to the information that is actually trickling in. I've also said that we have collected about 7 constituencies, and what remains is just about 5 constituencies that the results are actually being tallied and of course being verified before they finally announce. So then until that time when of course those results will be collected, verified and actually collected and finally announced, that is when we can call exactly who will be leading. As we speak right now, ODM candidate Fernandez Baraza is actually in the lead. However, those are preliminary results and we can only wait until IEBC has actually given us final results before we can actually call it for the candidate who will have actually won this particular election.
And finally, there were some video clips going on social media again for better part of yesterday. There was some video clips going around on social media yesterday of some pockets of violence. Could you please again confirm or deny that this was the true situation on the ground yesterday? And what is this? So what is it? All right, we've lost Simon Achola there. We'll try and get back to him later on to give us an update from Kakamega County. But the situation is 7 out of 12 constituencies already tallied, and according to him, Fernandez Baraza of ODM is in the lead. He's not given the exact figure. That will be confirmed later on once the tallying will be there. I'm told that Simon is back. All right. So we cross to Mombasa County and get more update from the coastal region. If we can get there, Juvenile Carissa is ready. All right. We'll try to get Juvenile Carissa there to give us an update from Mombasa County. But coming back here in studio, Gilbert, you are making a submission.
I was just saying that people in the court of public opinion, we have tried to constrict the Supreme Court to the decisions that they have made, and reminded them that in 2013, 2017, you said this. But remember, this is not a script that is standard. There are new facts, there are new issues, there are new contexts. So they are not bound by the decisions that they have made earlier. Perhaps it could be used as a reference where they themselves feel that perhaps they need to support a particular stand. But I'm sure perhaps the Supreme Court would be looking at particularly certain issues that they will make new pronouncements on. As I said last time, I'm really looking at how they are going to navigate between Article 84 of the Elections Act of 2016, where it says that an election court has the ability to, verify, retally, and then even declare a winner. And people have been, I've seen Azimio supporters saying, yeah, that is exactly what we want him to do. But the Supreme Court has exactly a particular mandate, first of all, to listen to that petition and nullify or perhaps call for a fresh elections or perhaps give a new determination. Yes. So I'll be looking at exactly what is it that they will do in the context of
something different.
Something
but
different.
Again, Wakili, those are the two areas that the Supreme Court will be tackling, either uphold or nullify.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Anything on the contrary?
I am not of anything of the contrary from my reading of, because there's both Section 80 of the Elections Act, and there's also Article 140 on the duty of the Article 140 of the Constitution on the duty of the Supreme Court. And so my view would be that the duty of the Supreme Court is to hear this elections petition, and if a party is aggrieved, then, or rather the Supreme Court is able to ask for or to make a declaration of the winner. out of this, and to also highlight some of the issues. But there's also an issue that came up in the petition, whereby reading the Raila Odinga petition and seeing that they would like some measures taken against the chairman of the IEBC commission, which through my reading of the laws, there is no criminality that has actually been placed there. And so this will be very interesting to see whether the Supreme Court will come up with such a criminal offense, election offense, done by the chairman.
I'm told you're running out of time, but now that your mic is still on, 5 seconds, what should you expect?
What we should expect from this petition is actually the Supreme Court being able to bring out the truth on what the mandate of the commission is, and whether there was a free, fair election on 9th of August, and whether the commission was able to establish the 50+1 rule.
Good.
That's what we should expect from this petition.
3 pertinent issues there. Gilbert?
I expect the Supreme Court to stay true to their creed, as they have demonstrated in the past, where it was imagined that since the government of the day had sponsored the BBI, they squashed it, albeit with very soft terminologies. They were not as bravado-ish as it was in the High Court and the Court of Appeal. So I'm hoping that they will be the neutral arbiter, synchronize the facts, and then whatever determination they give us, we move on to the next level.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And now let's cross over direct to Mombasa, and Junai Karisa is on standby. Junai, over to you.
Right, Victor Olo, good morning. We are still at the Kenya School of Government, where this is the county tallying center, where we expect Swalha Yusuf, who is the county returning officer, to make it official that Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is the second governor of Mombasa County. Right, from our tallying from our desk, our news desk, that we have been traversing since yesterday, Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is officially the winner of this race with 119,082 votes that were casted across the 6 constituencies of Mombasa. Hassan Omar comes in second with 98,108 votes. These are the conclusive figures that we've been able to tally in our data center, the KBC data center. We are, however, waiting for the official announcement by Swalha Yusuf. What is going on right behind me is Swalha is awaiting the constituency returning officers to come in with their data and submit them before her so that she can be able to announce. She has been announcing the results. She began with Kisauni constituency, then she will be proceeding with the 2 constituency returning officers that are beside her. That is for Changamwe and Nyali constituencies. Those are the constituency returning officers that are just right next to her. So she will be making the announcement not in any moment from now. So from our desk, let me run you through officially how we have arrived at the 119,082 vis-a-vis the 98,000 that Hassan Omar has gotten. So in Jomvu constituency, let me begin with Jomvu. In Jomvu, Abdul Swamad was able to garner 15,628 votes. Hassan Omar of the UDA party managed to get 11,038 votes. That is a wide gap. This is one of the stronghold of Badi Twalib, who is the sitting member of parliament, was elected on an ODM ticket. So it was expected that this region votes in Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir. We proceed to Kisauni, where Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir managed to get 21,790 votes, followed by Hassan Omar of the UDA party, who was able to get who got 20,759 votes. In Kisauni, it was a very tight race, considering that it was one of the strongholds of leaders allied to the UDA party that includes former Kisauni Member of Parliament Ali Mbogo. In Nyali constituency, Hassan Omar got 21,580 votes. This is slightly below Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, who got 22,387 votes. So in Nyali, it was one of the strongholds of Hassan Omar. So it was expected that this be a tight race in Nyali constituency. In Vita constituency, we expected that Abdul Samad manages to get a huge basket, considering he was the former Member of Parliament of that area. So he managed to get 24,106 votes, and Hassan Omar got 19,086 votes. That is a wide margin, and it was expected following his 2 terms tenure in that legislative area. In Changamwe constituency, this is where we expected also Hassan Omar to garner more points, because it was among his strongholds. He had garnered a lot of the Akamba voter basket. However, the people of Changamwe spoke. We saw that the sitting Member of Parliament, Omar Mwini, last minute was able to support Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir. Maybe this is what led for Abdul Samad to garner more votes than Hassan Omar. So Abdul Samad managed to clinch 17,740 votes, followed by Hassan Omar with 15,898 votes. So the final tallying was Likoni constituency, where until 20 minutes ago, those results were dispatched, and it is here that Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir has managed to get 17,425 votes. Hassan Omar managed to get 9,756 votes. This was the only tallying that we were waiting for us to give a conclusive verdict that Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is indeed the second governor elected by the people of Mombasa. So what is happening? I know Likoni will be delaying to reach this place, because that is the procedure. The constituency returning officer is expected to make his way here so that he can come and submit his numbers to the county returning officer, which then she will announce. After announcement, that is when the main tallying at the county level will be conclusive. Thereafter, Swalha Yusuf is expected to make those remarks. Earlier on, she had hinted to us that by 10 a.m. this procedure would have concluded. However, we're still here. Only the announcements of 3 constituencies have been made, so we are waiting the remaining 3. Vita constituency is remaining, Likoni constituency is remaining, as well as Jomvu constituency. So those are the only constituencies that are remaining for the county returning officer Swalha Yusuf to make a pronouncement on. Thereafter, we will give her a brief time to do the official county tallying. After that, we will get the conclusive remarks, hoping that these numbers tally with what we have on our data center. So Victor Olo, again, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir has carried the day here in Mombasa County with 119,000 votes and 82. Hassan Omar has managed to clinch 98,108. This was a very tight race. Many voters anticipated, with the wave of the president-elect's win 3 weeks ago, that this seat would go to the UDA side. However, the ODM party continues to carry the wave here in Mombasa County, just cementing their will that this is an ODM stronghold. So we are waiting for the pronouncement of 3 more constituencies. Then Swalha Yusuf will be able to make that conclusive announcement that Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir has won this election. So Victor, I hand it back to you as we wait for the arrival of those constituency returning officer before we get the official announcement from Swalha Yusuf.
All right. Junaid Carissa there, thank you so much there. And of course, the way she said, so far 119,000 to Abdul Samad Sharif, 119,082 votes, making him the winner as per the polls there. Omar Hassan of UDA coming in second with 98,108 votes. But now they're still waiting for the returning officer to give the official declaration to that effect. All right, that caps it all on this version of GMK. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. But hey, the gentleman is here to take over the news check. Ben Troy.
Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning.
And for the third electoral cycle in a row, we are experiencing what we always get.
Yes.
A presidential elections. But talking of dispute, 2002 is the only election that we didn't have a dispute. So we are in another electoral cycle. We are expecting the 7 apex court judges to have a sitting today.
4 gents.
Yes. And for the first time ever, this petition is kind of special because 9 petitions. Of course, there are some which have been struck down.
I'm trying to be a lawyer at this particular point.
I think it has forced me, being a court reporter, it has also blended. And for the first time ever, we are going to the apex court with a divided commission.
Yeah.
So just like the chairman or the chairman of the president of the LSK said, he wouldn't want to be a judge at this moment because there are so many constitutional interpretations which will go down together with this. But hey, we have some experts here to help us.
Okay. Ben Troy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The man is ready here. And what's coming up next? You know what? News check. My name is Victor Lowe. Have a good morning.
To invade your sitting rooms once every week. Allah.
And this is what we mean. The originals. Lipua Lipua. Veve Productions. Orchestra Kiam. And so much more.
Merindimo ya ngoma za rumba kutoka pembe zote za Afrika. Zilizopepea, zinazopepea kwa kiasi ambacho hutang'atuka ng'o from your sitting room.
Wow. Buzi Buziana, Scholar Miel, Betty Beast, Fifi Mofude, among others.
Bridge over Congo with Simeon Mfumu Kimbangu.
And Winnie Marie-Jose on KBC Channel 1.
Nzambia Sambela Kate, Ako Sambela Nani.
God does not worship. To whom will he worship?
Karibuni sana to the Second Chance TV game show.
Tough questions.
Virunga National Park is located within which mountain ranges?
Aberdare.
Aberdare? Is that your final answer?
Tough challenges.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's a survival for the smartest.
10 seconds to go. Who is the current president of Malawi?
Jakaya Kikwete.
Wrong answer. That is the wrong answer. Does it border to the east? Nakuru County. Nakuru County, you get 2,000 bob.
Premiering soon on Channel 1.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget